Okay, I call to order this scheduled meeting of the 34th City Council for August 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Just would like to remind everybody in attendance to please silence your cell phones as to not disturb the meeting. Mr. Clerk, can we have the roll?
Councilmember Enos.
Here.
Councilmember Hamud.
Here.
Councilmember Abraham.
Here.
Councilmember Paris.
Here.
Councilmember El Sawafi.
Here.
Councilmember Herrick.
Here.
Council President Sereni.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councilman Robert Abraham.
Thank you, Council President Sereni. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Father Ken Chase of Sacred Heart Catholic Parish, who will give the invocation for tonight's meeting. I would ask everybody who is able to please stand for our invocation, and when we're finished, please remain standing for our country's Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pause for just a moment to recollect ourselves. Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, in the fullness of time and history, you've revealed yourself and your glory to all the nations. God of power and might, wisdom and justice, through you alone authority is rightly administered, laws are enacted, and justice made sure. Tonight we pray, assist the City Council assembled with your spirit of counsel and fortitude, that their work on behalf of the people they serve may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to the people of our community. May they encourage due respect for goodness and decency, for virtue and true freedom. May they uphold the common good with prudence, justice, mercy, and common sense. May they discharge their duties with honesty, integrity, with skill, and with care. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct their deliberations and shine forth in all their proceedings. May they seek to preserve peace, promote the common well-being, and the prosperity of all. We pray as well for all those whose lives will be affected by the deliberations and decisions of those who are assembled here in council tonight. We commend to your unbounded mercy all the citizens and residents of our community, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and certainty of your love for us. May we be preserved in the peace which the world cannot give, and after enjoying the blessings of this life, be admitted to those that are eternal. We pray to you who are Lord and God forever and ever. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. Okay, Mr. Clerk, can we have the first item of business?
Item number 4, a resolution by Council President Sereni, supported unanimously, acknowledging Jack Tate for his 46 years with the Dearborn Historical Advisory Commission and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Today we want to acknowledge our museum curator, Jack Tate, for his many years of serving as on the Dearborn Historical Advisory Commission. He has been on the commission for 46 years, from 1978 to 2024. Jack's dedication, wisdom, and passion have been instrumental in preserving and celebrating our shared history here in the city of Dearborn. Your tireless efforts have left an indelible mark on our community, ensuring that our future generations will continue to learn from and appreciate our rich heritage. We want to thank you for your unwavering service and the lasting legacy that you have created, Jack. I know that the mayor and the administration also has a few words, and the council is going to come down and present you with a circuit citation. But I'd like, Chief, you have something to add from the administration?
Thank you, Council President. So I think as much as I tried to put into words on behalf of the administration, the mayor, and how thankful and blessed we are to have Jack a part of our team, but also to be serving on the commission as long as he has. We always say that the Historical Museum is one of the most innovative parts of the city, and we're so lucky to have it. And it really, truly is because of the leadership of Jack Tate. So I know that the mayor wanted to be here himself. Unfortunately, some circumstances arise, and he's not be here. But he will be calling Jack privately to have that conversation. But we are so lucky to have you. We are so happy to have you, and hopefully for many years to come. So thank you, Jack.
Definitely a standing ovation. to step down here. We're gonna give Jack the citation. But yeah, we're.
You'll be 46?
We're doing all council, and then we're gonna have the administration as the department heads. I know you got one of those.
What happened in the collection?
That. Everybody's. George? Okay, okay, a little closer.
And Ken, your kid.
I'm always.
Can't see you. There you go. Okay.
Good? I'll give this to your assistant there. You want to sit in or just, Okay, so guys, just give them, we'll let the administration and the department heads say.
Jacob, I think you're a department head.
It's okay, that's the best training you might get.
All right. Paul, we're back.
Is everybody, all right, cool?
Amanda, move a little bit to your left.
Can we take one of the council as well?
All right.
Too many tall people.
That's fine.
Yeah, they did.
Mike, I put the comment cards there. They're all for trees.
All right. What number is the tree? 28?
28, I put it on there.
Perfect.
Thank you, Council President.
All right, thank you very much. And again, Jack, thank you for your service. It's definitely something to be proud of and is definitely going to carry through Dearborn for many, many, many years. Mr. Clerk, the next item?
The next item is public comment. We
Okay.
will start around 7:10.
Okay, 7:10. Again, just a reminder, we have public comment for the first 30 minutes. Again, the public comment is reserved for items that are not on the agenda. And then the agenda item, you will be called. I do have speaker cards here. And then keep in mind, folks, we also have a second public comment portion at the end of the meeting, which is unlimited as far as how long it runs, but it's still the 3-minute limitation. So we do have about 5 cards regarding item number 28, which will be in front of us for our first reading, and we are doing a study session, which I'll brief everyone on some basics on that when that item comes up. So the 5 cards, unless someone will not be here when the item comes up and would like to be heard, we will definitely hear them. If not, I prefer if they could wait till the item is in front of us, and then we can address it. Okay, if there's anyone here to speak to the council regarding city business that is not an agenda item, they can step forward. Yep, step forward. And just again, just your name and address for the record. And a kind reminder, there's a 3-minute limitation that is kept by our clerk, and he will give you a 30-second warning.
Hi, it's Taylor Morey, 3804 Alice Street. We had this incident in my neighborhood last weekend where some dogs got out and were, trying to attack people.
Dogs?
Dogs, yeah.
Okay.
Someone had called animal control and were told that animal control doesn't work on the weekends. And so I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do in that situation where there are dogs attacking people if animal control's not working.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I know the chief is here. Can I have the chief up? I know that this council, chief, if you might step forward. I think it's more, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to understand, I just want to address some of your concerns. The council was made aware this budget season that there was not a full-time personnel and for the animal control. And when that was made aware to this council, I brought it forward and my colleagues supported. We immediately funded a full-time position. But I'm sure the full-time is during the weekdays. But I'd like the chief to speak to this because my understanding, there's always a backup to this scenario. So, Chief?
Good afternoon, Issa Sheen, Chief of Police. So we're in the process of acquiring a full-time animal control officer, but like the council president outlined, there will be times, whether it's in the early morning hours or on the weekends, where we might not have coverage. If the animal is vicious or a danger to the community, we will call in an animal control officer or police officers will interject and try to handle the animal. But if the animal is not a threat to anybody and it's after hours on the weekends, then at times there will not be an animal control officer available.
Right. And that was my understanding
True.
too, Chief. If there was a threat, a vicious dog, the police would respond. Was that the case in your scenario, or just the dogs were running loose?
So someone else there had called, I'm not sure if they called animal control or 911 directly, but we're told the animal control doesn't work on the weekends. So I'm not specifically sure what they heard, but I just wanted to relay that I had heard that.
Well, I do appreciate it. I hope no one was, I hope it was a scenario where just a dog got loose. But we are addressing that issue with a full-time personnel, which I'm still think will not encompass the weekends as well.
There'll be gaps.
But for our residents, any dog that is a threat, I mean, the state of Michigan is, I'm sure our legal counsel will indicate that, is strict liability state. Anything that a dog does is on the owner's responsibility. Many people are not aware the city of Dearborn has an ordinance where you must have a dog on the leash at all times when it's outside of the fence.
Yeah, one
Chief.
thing I might add, Council President, if the animal is not a threat and the residents feels inclined, they're always welcome to take it to our wonderful animal shelter. We have the director sitting in back, and they'll be happy to take the animal as well.
Definitely. Definitely will take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing it to our attention. All right. Anyone else here to speak to the council regarding city business? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will close the public comment at 7:14. Before we move to the consent agenda, are there any items that any member would wish to remove from the consent agenda and discuss individually? Okay, hearing and seeing none, Mr. Clerk, can you proceed?
Yes, item number 6, resolution in need of offer and support, approving all the items on the consent agenda and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, I'm sorry, did the offer by Councilman Enos? And support?
Me.
Councilwoman Herrick, thank you. Okay, Mr. Clerk, can we have the roll call vote?
Councilmember Enos.
Yes.
Councilmember Hamud.
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham.
Yes.
Councilmember Paris.
Yes.
Councilmember El Sawafi.
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick.
Yes.
Council President Sereni.
Yes.
That's 7 yeas, the resolution passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next item.
We'll move on to item number 23,
Yes.
resolution by Council Members Enos and Herrick approving the minutes of the previous special meeting of July 9th, 2024.
Okay, are there any additions, deletions, or modification to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, a unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 24, resolution by Council Members Paris and Herrick approving the minutes of the previous scheduled closed meeting of July 9th, 2024.
All right, are there any deletions, additions, or modification to these minutes? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 25, resolution by Council Members Herrick and Paris approving the minutes of the previous regular meeting of July 23rd, 2024.
Okay, and again, is there any additions, deletions, or modification to the minutes? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 26, ordinance number 24-1821, an ordinance to amend section 9.02 of ordinance number 06-1111 of the city of Dearborn by rezoning the properties located at 10149 Michigan Avenue from a BB, Community Business District, to a BC, General Business District, 5158 Porath Street from a VP, Vehicular Parking District, to a BC, General Business District, 5145 Eugene Street from a VP, Vehicular Parking District, to a BC, General Business District, and VP Vehicular Parking District. Also, the properties located at 5127, 5121, 5115, and 5109 Eugene Street, and 5126 Porth Street from an RB one-family residential district to a VP Vehicular Parking District zoning classification. Resolution by Councilmembers Hamud and Herrick to take from the table for its final reading.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Again, this item is being brought forward. This is the third time, again, due to the failure of the Dearborn Press and Guide to post the ordinance in the newspaper regarding, which is statutorily required. The proposed rezoning is being done in conjunction with the proposed alley vacation to allow for the Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services, better known as Access, to construct a treatment and recovery center within the Eugene-Porath neighborhood. In March 2023, the city of Dearborn was authorized by this council to partner with Access to pursue this community project. The applicant is requesting to conditionally rezone 8 properties from BB, which is Community District, and RB, which is single-family residential district, and VP, which is vehicular parking, to BC General Business and VP, which is also vehicle parking. The proposed rezoning in conjunction with the proposed alley vacation will allow for a better site design for the whole facility by shifting the building away from the existing residential properties and towards Michigan Avenue closer to the front. This is the second and final reading of this ordinance. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Okay, Mr. Clerk, we can have the final reading.
This is the final reading of ordinance number 1821, an ordinance to amend section 902, ordinance number 06-1111 of the city of Dearborn by rezoning the properties located at 10149 Michigan Avenue from a BB to a BC, 5158 Porth Street from a VP to a BC, 5145 Eugene Street from a VP to a BC and VP. Also, the properties located at 5127, 5121, 5115, and 5109 Eugene Street, and 5126 Porth Street from an RB to a VP zoning classification.
All right, Mr. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Hamud.
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham.
Yes.
Councilmember Paris.
Yes.
Councilmember El Sawafi.
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick.
Yes.
Council President Sereni.
Yes.
Councilmember Enos.
Yes.
7 yeas, the ordinance passes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next item.
Item 27, ordinance number 24-1822, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the city of Dearborn by amending Article 29.00 of Section 29.02 entitled Schedule of Regulations, Article 2.00 of Section 2.05 entitled General Provisions, Article 10.00 of Section 10.03 entitled RA and RB, One-Family Residential Districts, Article 5.00 of Section 5.03 entitled Landscaping, and Article 1.00 of Section 1.03 entitled Rules of Construction and Definitions. Resolution by Councilmembers Hamud and Enos to take from the table for its final reading.
Okay, and the unanimous roll shall be attached to take from the table for its final reading. The city council has requested some updates and modifications to the ordinance to offer more options to residents while still balancing the responsibility and limitations of our stormwater system. The proposed changes will permit residents to do more with their properties while balancing the environmental benefits that come with having dedicated permeable green space in residential neighborhoods. A summary of some of the changes is to create more flexibility for residents to allow them to install amenities on their residential properties such as pools, pavers, sheds, gazebos, by removing a 35% total coverage structure. A permit of up to 5% of total landscape area can be used for permeable pavers, and allow driveways to be made out of permeable pavers as long as they are manufactured to support vehicle weight. Increase the maximum permitted lot coverage for the largest properties to be consistent with the other properties in this categories from 40 to 45%, and exclude air conditioning units from being counted against landscaping requirements. Also, remove standards that are redundant, confusing, and challenging to regulate, such as removing standards that regulate column ratios and the number of window shapes sizes on your home. We also removed some minimal floor area unit on family zoning district, which is regulated by the building code, and to remove regular requirements for a city to notify privately deed restricted communities to prevent them from being notified and being passed on for notifications. The Planning Commission recommend approval of this request on July 8th, 2024 meeting, and the Planning and Zoning recommend approval as well, and worked on this for much time. This is the second and final reading of this ordinance. Is there any questions or comments? Okay. Yeah, it's a long time coming, yep. Mr. Clerk, can we have the final reading?
This is the final reading of ordinance number 24-1822, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the city of Dearborn by amending Article 29.00 of Section 29.02 entitled Schedule of Regulations, Article 2.00 of Section 2.05 entitled General Provisions, Article 10.00 of Section 10.03 entitled RA and RB, one-family residential districts, Article 5.00 of Section 5.03 entitled Landscaping, and Article 1.00 of Section 1.03 entitled Rules of Construction and Definitions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Paris,
Yes.
Councilmember El Sawafi,
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick,
Yes.
Council President Sereni,
Yes.
Councilman Enos,
Yes.
Councilman Hamud.
Yes.
7 yeas, the ordinance passes.
All right, next item, please.
Item 28, an ordinance number 24-1823, introduced by Council President Sereni. Synopsis, an ordinance to amend the Licenses and Business Regulations Chapter 12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Dearborn by amending Article 24 entitled Tree Removal and Replacement. Resolution by Council Members Enos and Abraham to table the ordinance.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. This item was brought forward by the legal department based on the request made by myself to update the tree ordinance and replacement ordinance. The following changes are being suggested to be made. The requirement to pay into a tree fund to be removed. It's currently, the ordinance requires they should be paid into a tree fund. We also are recommending that a tree permit of $125 be added, which currently is $0. The standards to remove trees on personal property are triggered by the health of them, and we are asking for that to be removed. Language will be added to clarify property only can remove a tree on their own property. Again, as long as the tree is under 16 inch in diameter. If it is over that, it is required to get a permit for the health of the, for the safety and security of the neighbors next to it. To ensure that there's no confusion, the language has been added to clarify that the license and insurance are required for a third-party contractor, but not for a personal homeowner. This is the first of 2 readings. Now, I know we have a lot of comments on this, so I wanted to make sure that I gave everybody at least a basis of what's actual, and so we can have a good conversation. And I want everyone to know, too, that Councilman Abraham has requested a study session, which I supported, and we will be scheduling before our next regular meeting, which should be right after Labor Day. And everyone that has put a comment card, and I know that we've received several emails, will be notified about the study session. If for some reason the study session cannot be scheduled in time, we will make sure that the second reading will not go forward until we have a chance to be heard by everyone. And I'm going to make sure everybody has their chance to be heard, but I want to make sure I give some little basis so that everybody knows what is going on. And I know we have our director, Torty, and is Director Hawkins here? Yes, can we both have you up here just so that we can give some real information? So I just wanted to give some clarification for what was the genesis of this, just so everybody's on the same page. First of all, losing trees and being a tree city, I want everybody to know, I can speak for the whole council. There's no one on this council that doesn't agree that we should preserve our trees. What we're talking about in this ordinance is personal property rights. And what I want to make sure that everybody understands is a couple things. First of all, the loss of trees didn't happen by mistake, folks. Under the O'Reilly administration, there was no requirement to replace or replant a tree that was removed from the CSO project. And our Director Hawkins for DPW was here under the building department in the past. So Director, if you could just state your name. I want to make sure that people know what's the truth and what's not.
So, thank you. Tim Hawkins, Director for the Department of Public Works. And yes, there is no record that there was ever a mandate to replace any trees under the CSO projects.
So I want to make sure that people understand that the loss of trees didn't happen in a 1 week. It was over a 10-year period of time, which the city did a tremendous amount of road and sewer work where trees had to be removed because we had to do the sewer work. But when the last council, the 33rd council, found out that there was no mandate, which I was part of and most of us were part of, the last council mandated that every single time a tree is removed in the city property for construction, it shall, which legally means you must, replace it. We do give the resident their choice of the species, so I want to make sure people know that. Also, in the past, we were charging approximately $175.
Correct.
For trees. Under the new administration, we have received some grants, and Director, is that under your department?
No, sir.
It's under his. I
That's
just want to
mine.
make sure. We have been promoting and putting on our websites that we are not charging a single dollar for trees. And we have been promoting that. I myself have done a CDTV show on, should be on YouTube, with our arborist explaining why, and Mr. Mike Shoshanian, why this is a great program to promote the trees and the health of the trees. So I want to make sure people know that. Secondly, why has this come forward? Mr. Romer is our city attorney, and our current ordinance had a provision that indicated that if you wanted to remove a tree on your household property, you could remove it, but you could pay into a tree fund. That, by the Court of Appeals and the Michigan State Supreme Court, has been deemed to be illegal. Is that correct, Mr. Romer?
It's the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, but yes, the rest.
Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which we're bound by.
That's correct.
Okay, so that means that we cannot do that, and our ordinance is written, and it's not enforceable. So the administration, what they do when they see this happen, they do not enforce it, but we have to correct the ordinance going forward. So that's why this happened. We have a portion about a tree fund that's not allowed to be in there. So I want to make sure people know that. Then there was also questions about the permit fee. I want to make it abundantly clear. The permit fee was zero. We're asking it to be $125. There's been some people that have sent messages and emails to the council to make it $1,000. Folks, I want you to understand that's not reasonable. It's also illegal. And as a council member in 2014, I sat on a body that passed that exact ordinance. $1,000 per month for every month it took you over 12 months to build a house. I said on the record that was illegal, and it was not factually supported, and I voted against it. It passed, and the state of Michigan had us retract it. When they make you retract it, that means it's illegal. You cannot do that. So I want to make sure it's abundantly clear to people. Permit fees cannot be punitive in nature. You can't have a fee to punish someone. The fees have to be rationally related to the cost that it costs the taxpayers to do the job. Is that correct, Mr. Romer?
Yeah, it stems from the Bolt versus City of Lansing, Michigan Supreme Court case, where the fee has to have a reasonable relationship to the service or the benefit that it's providing. Otherwise, it's deemed a tax, which is unconstitutional.
Thank you. So I just want to make sure I want to make sure that our residents understand what we're trying to do here. I have our directors here because I want to also let people know the truth, that under the administration currently and this 34th City Council, I think you have the numbers, or is he?
I do.
I'd like the residents to know how many trees have been planted under under our jurisdiction and under the mayor's rule.
So in 2022, we planted 1,900 trees in the city of Dearborn. In 2023, we planted 900 trees throughout the city. In 2024, we've already planted 409, and we've already paid for another 500 in a fall planting. So that'll put 2024 around 909. We've already let the contractor know that we will be putting an order in for 1,000 trees in 2025 to start getting the growth on them now.
So I'm not the best at math, but that's over 2,200 that has been installed.
That's correct.
Okay. So you were under the Department of Economic Development, I'm not sure what it was called, Building Safety back years ago.
Property Maintenance and Development
There you
Services.
go, there you go. When you were under there, can you recall if anything that, under the previous administrations or in the past, that you ever seen that type of volume of trees being installed?
I have not.
Okay. I just want to make sure that our residents understand, there is no one that believes that we should not have trees. But what we do believe is, I don't believe you should tell somebody how to take care of their home when we can't take care of our own property, and our city properties have to be installed. And that's what we've been doing. These are all been on most of them on the city properties, correct?
All of them were on city property.
All of them on city property. So I want to make sure residents know the facts and what we're trying to do here, because we are a Tree City USA, and we want to make sure that this is something that we continue to do for the longevity and that we continue to fund. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear before, so that people know what the truth is versus what they've heard. Also, I want to make sure everyone understands too, our current ordinance does not require an arborist. I want to say that again. Our current ordinance does not require an arborist. What it happens is that this is what we call in practice. The ordinance says that the tree has to be healthy. By the way, we have not denied we could not find on record that we've denied one single permit for it to remove a tree on the personal property of their house. And what it does say is that the tree shall be healthy, which of course means how do we determine if it's healthy? I would argue that today, the way it's written, a tree company with skill, such as tree companies that are well-known in the community, could state that this tree needs to come down for whatever reason, and that is more than acceptable in today's ordinance. So people are saying that we're trying to remove the arborist requirement. There is no arborist requirement in the current ordinance right now. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure, folks, that, and I don't know how many people have had trees fall, but I can tell you I had one recently fall, a limb in my mom's backyard, and I called Director Hawkins. A tree that's 16-inch diameter, that's the limb. I just want you to know, folks, I cut it down to this size, and I had to have my teenage son pick it up. That's how heavy it is. That's why we've seen reports that trees fall on houses and kill people. It's serious. That size is very serious. This ordinance is to stay consistent with what we had in the past. Anything over 16 inches really should be done by a professional, right? And then you require insurance. And if you don't have a professional and you want to do it on your own property, you can do it. That's what we're proposing, which it can be done right now. But you have to get a permit, and that allows us to make sure that the residents are safe. If a tree falls on someone else's house or falls the wrong way, you know, it is a science. So I wanted to make sure we cleared that. And if Director, if you would like to just stay up for a minute, I want to have our residents speak. And then, again, for everyone that was here, you will be notified. We are doing a study session, and I promise that you will be notified. If for some reason the study session is not scheduled before the second reading will be held until we have it, okay? So I wanted just to clear the air. And first we have Mr. Glenn O'Cray. Just stay nearby in case they have any questions.
I am glad that the city council is considering the issue of trees. It gives the community the opportunity to give its input. I posted on Facebook my concerns, and you can read my responses on Facebook. There have been several. I've been accumulating signatures to ask the city council to make changes only to expand its coverage. I'm not sure that the city council recognizes how concerned residents are on the issue of trees. About 3/4 of the people that I asked to sign my petition did sign it, and the vast majority of them were very upset that we should be changing an ordinance that might water down our environment here, that would negatively affect our environment. Yesterday's news was filled with tales of destruction because of the flooding in the northeastern states. I cannot believe that the city of trees is not doing all that we can to stop flooding, and that means saving trees. Father Ken referred to the common good, and I'm asking you to consider the common good as well. What is best for the city and what is best for the world? How will history judge you? Let me give you a quote from the Old Testament, Zechariah. Those who instruct the people in goodness will shine with the stars for all eternity. I ask you as leaders to educate the citizenry on the value of trees so that we can change the verbiage on Dearborn's printed information to say, we are absolutely the city of trees and not the city of concrete. I want you to shine with the stars for eternity. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. I'm sorry. Mr. O'Cray, I apologize. Next, we need, yes? Claudia Walters? Okay.
I'm Claudia Walters. I've been a resident of Dearborn in the Snowwoods neighborhood since 2001. And yes, I was one of those people who had a wet basement. So did many of my neighbors. Mayor Ahmoud was the co-chair of the Green Task Force from SEMCOG, where they looked at how to make the region overall more resilient to climate change. And the goals that were shared at a summit at the Environmental Interpretive Center in 2023 are a target of 40% of tree cover in all urban census tracts, with a particular emphasis on tracts below 20% canopy. Now, in Dearborn, we have a number of census tracts, particularly in the east, that have coverage below 15%. And so it was interesting to hear Tim Hawkins talk about replacing the trees that had been cut down because of the CSO. I'd like to urge the council to come up with ways to not only replace what is being cut down because of the CSO project, but to go above and beyond and actually figure out how we can, through education, through all kinds of different means, how we can actively increase the amount of tree cover in the area. I worked at the EIC, and the EIC has been collecting weather data since 1974. In the 70s, the highest 24-hour rainfall totals we had were less than 2 inches. Since 2014, we've had 2 events of 6 inches plus. For every degree Celsius that the atmosphere warms up, the atmosphere holds 7% more water. So the next flooding is only a matter of time, and we may be looking at even higher rainfall amounts. And so again, I would like to urge the council to not just think about what we're currently doing, but be more proactive, encourage the citizenry to build more or to plant more trees on their properties. As I ride my bike through town, it is very discouraging to me to see how many people are actively cutting down trees on their properties as they convert the properties, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, next we have Tess. Pronounced right? Tess? Diallo? Yes.
Did you say Tess?
Yes.
The last name's hard to read.
Yes, I apologize.
All right. So,
Just your
my
name
name
for
is
the record.
Tess,
Yep.
Tess DeGallo.
DeGallo.
And, so I'm gonna read this all. My mother was, and her 6 siblings were born in Dearborn, grew up in Dearborn. My 7 siblings and I grew up in Dearborn. My 6 children grew up in Dearborn, and half of my 17 grandchildren live in Dearborn. And most of my nieces and nephews, too. So Dearborn is our city. It's my city. It's a tree city. So I am disappointed when I was reading about what the city council was considering about kind of devastating our minimal tree ordinance, that how I read it, instead of encouraging our citizens to plant more trees. So 4 years ago, I lost my thing. 4 years ago, I decided to join forces with my friend Cheryl Lieblang, who spoke last week about trees, and she couldn't come tonight, and her husband Joe in greening the Duval School area. After seeing the loss of so many trees, she took it upon herself to start talking to neighbors, and soon Cheryl and Joe started buying trees, planting them, watering them, and putting them in our neighborhood. And I joined the fight. So on my street alone, Mason, in less than a quarter-mile stretch from Monroe to the railroad tracks, I have bought, planted, watered, and otherwise cared for 23 trees along that street, and and another 15 in streets that are around me that are adjacent to mine, and I also lay claim to 25-plus trees outside of my immediate neighborhood, but still in Dearborn. And I've encouraged family members and friends to plant trees, and and I've helped plant a bunch of those too. So, the council members, I'm asking you not to rewrite the tree ordinance, which will devastate our tree canopy, which, by the way, I just read an article the other day that it's 21%, and we need a healthy canopy of 42% or higher. And so instead of the tree ordinance should reflect changes that will help promote our tree planting. And by accepting this ordinance, I know a couple people already said that we'll lose shade, it will decrease our healthy air, and it also will increase flooding. And these are only some of the hazards that the city would incur if we take this course.
You have 30 seconds.
So I love walking down my street and seeing all my trees, all of our trees. And I love walking my grandchildren to Duval and seeing my trees, which are our trees. So I think that if one woman in her 70s can make such an impact in my neighborhood, that what could the team of city officials accomplish, and what should we expect our city officials to help green Dearborn and our tree city? So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have Maureen Smith. Pass? Okay. Next we have Clarette Cullen. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Colette Cullen, and I have lived in Dearborn for 50 years. I've lived on Gary Street, Bingham Street, Beachmont Street, and now Park Street. And I love this community. We know the science. All you have to do is Google trees, planet, et cetera. We know the science. We know the best practice. We know what we need to do. And so I don't need to go into that, but I'm a very emotional person from a background and a culture that reveres trees. I'm Irish. And Irish people believe trees have souls. And it was shown in the book Tree Grows in Brooklyn when Betty Smith wrote this book about a child living in urban Brooklyn who has a devastating life, and she creates a relationship with one tree. And that tree gives her the will to live, and like that tree, grow through the sour earth. We cannot even speak to how trees speak to poetry, art, our souls, and our will to live. I want to take a moment and start with my more prepared speech. Once again, good evening, and I do thank you for your service to our community. I am proud to be a resident. I am exceedingly proud of the diverse demographics of this city. I'm choosing to live here because of how dynamic we are. I want to be here. We are looked at by the rest of the country to see what we're going to do right and wrong. And if we do anything a little bit wrong, all eyes are on us. And I believe this tree ordinance could put us in a really bad light in the rest of the country. In voting on this referendum, my dear council members, you're charged to represent the collective good of your generation and future generations. I urge you to vote no. Now I want to take a minute here. I lived at 1225 Beachmont. It was a home that was designed by a botanist. It had 65 trees on the lot. I know that because I said goodbye to each one of those trees when, due to a catastrophe, I had to leave that home that I loved. Every single one of those 65 trees was cut down, upending a habitat that protected species, that served as a sound buffer to the community, and gave solace to many people, right? And so now I'm on Park Street. So everybody got really enthusiastic because the railroads are coming through, and we're going to have 2 railroad trains, and they clear cut along the path by me. And guess who's roaming through my neighborhood looking for food right now? Deer, walking up and down Park Street because we removed their food source by cutting down the trees that grow around the railroad.
You have 30
tracks.
seconds.
So there you go. So you know all that. I just want to say in closing that the fee to cut down trees can just serve as homeowners to just stop for a moment, pause, assess, to think about making a more prudent decision that affects not only themselves, but the community at large, our deer cohabitants, the birds, the squirrels, et cetera, and ultimately our planet. As the adage goes, fences make better neighbors, but trees make better neighborhoods. And I urge you to really deeply look at this issue. And by the way, we do have an arborist in this city, James, and I wish he was here. I have a family of arborists, and I'd love to invite them to be part of our committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Jackie, I just wanted to turn these over. We did, our council executive has a date of September, was it? 4th, Wednesday at 6:30. So we're going to schedule that for our study session, Wednesday, September 4th at 6:30 in the chambers. So everyone that had sent an email, at least to myself, because I can't tell if it's sent to everyone, will be notified of that date, and we're welcome to have you all there to discuss it. Remember, today is first reading. It's not anything official. And then again, too, I just want to make sure we keep in mind that this is about only on the personal property, not the city's easements, as I think we stated clearly, our commitment to that and what we've been doing. Next, I'd like to open up to my colleagues. I'd like to make some comments. Councilman Enos?
Thank you, Council President. If someone doesn't have a tree on their easement right now, how can they get one?
We have, well, let's have Director Hawkins up here. It's on our website, and I know that Director Golish has spoke to, but let's have him speak.
Yes, Tim Hawkins, DPW Director. We have a list that is generated when a call is put in or if you go on the website, because some people don't go on the website, so they can make a call to DPW number or our call center.
Okay.
And then we generate that list and move forward.
And Director Hawkins, currently, if they want that tree even on their own property, we are putting them.
No, not once we cross the sidewalk because we've had limited.
That's right.
So the idea is that if we have an excess of purchasing trees from trees that were removed, that people don't want them on their property, we do plant them when we do have the excess in other locations. We plant them in parks and other places as well.
Correct. Okay, but the free tree aspect is on the easement.
Is on the easements.
Okay, thank you, Director. Councilman Al-Sawafi?
That's good. Thank you, Council President. I did have a question on the, thank you, Council President. I did have a question on the fund, the tree fund. Mr. Romer, is it illegal under any circumstances to have that fund, or is it only illegal to collect the funds without good reason?
The one-for-one replacement was deemed unconstitutional because it operates as a regulatory taking. So you have to give up your right to compensation for a piece of property in exchange for a permit. That was the Canton case. That's what it was all about. That case also highlighted the fact that Canton had a similar ordinance structure that we do, where we have this criteria and it's listed in there, like wind blocks, noise buffers, health, vigor of the density, species. But there really is no assessment of that impact when you take down a tree or the overall site, which is what got Canton in trouble. So essentially they went in there and said, look, you cut down 59 trees, now you got to contribute 59 tree worth to
without
the
an assessment.
Without the assessment. So that court case, that Sixth Circuit court case, deemed their criteria or how they supported that standard unconstitutional, bare boned.
Okay.
So it didn't meet the threshold.
So if we did have an assessment, would it then be legal to collect funds?
So the Sixth Circuit seems to hint that way, but it doesn't say how to go about doing that, because as we noticed, even in our criteria that is proposed to be removed, you have habitat quality, wind blocks, noise buffers, and even Canton had this criteria in it, and they only used an arborist. Well, I would tell you that an arborist probably can't speak to noise buffers and those type of impact on not only the plat, but also the overall environment. So the Court of Appeals case essentially said, yes, an individual assessment would have probably survived the threshold here, but how you go about doing that is always going to be subject to challenge, and whether you do it correctly into a threshold the court deems appropriate.
So if we had language where a licensed professional made that assessment, would it be still legal to have the tree fund?
Well, what you need is, whatever standard you put in, you need to make sure that the department is getting the individuals that can assess that standard in doing so. If you fail to do that or get the right people to do that assessment, you will fail if challenged.
Okay, so Mr. Romer, if you can help me out with this, and I know we still have time to make this ordinance changes official, but if you can help me better understand what that threshold is, and maybe developing that language where we can still potentially look into keeping the fund in a legal matter instead of just wiping it out.
So the fund is still in your ordinance, it's just that one-for-one replacement is gone. And the fund was left for the purpose if somebody wanted to donate to the fund, or my understanding was if the department had violations related to this specific ordinance, they would like to put those collections into that fund to contribute to purchase.
No, I understand, and then the discussion was that it could be, the way it's written right now, illegal. So how do we still keep it in a legal fashion, I guess, is my request to look into.
Yeah, certainly, and I can go back and brainstorm on what that would look like, especially for the study session.
Right, we can definitely look into that, but just keep in mind, Councilman and Mr. Romer, I'm sure you will, I hope you agree with me, the court is not a legislative body, so they're not gonna tell you exactly how to do it. They're gonna tell you where it's wrong, and then if it gets challenged, you'll know when the court says it again. Am I correct, Mr. Romer?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened here in Canton. They just said what you did was incorrect, but they didn't say what was right.
Exactly.
No,
So I know, but I want to make sure it's abundantly clear. It's not, I want people to understand the law. When the law when they say this is incorrect, they don't say if you did this, it would be correct. It's every circumstance is different. So I think that's why Mr. Romer was indicating that the person has to understand not only the tree, but also the noise and the wind and other factors. It's a serious issue. And again, we'll discuss it into detail, but I want to make sure that we understand that the fund is a problem, and that's what the issue is. At the one-for-one was deemed unconstitutional, for sure, on its face. So that's why we're here today.
No, and I agree. I guess my understanding and the way I see it is a licensed professional or a combination of professionals. There has to be some type of professional who's licensed that can determine and make that assessment. And then that way we can still keep the fund in a legal fashion.
Right. I guess we'll look at it. I mean, Mr. Romer, had you indicated the wind, so we would need a wind expert. What else would we need? Tree coverage expert?
I mean,
No,
Councilman.
I know, but I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing.
The expert would hinge on the standards you put into the code.
Right.
I was referencing the standards that were
I know,
being removed.
but the standards that were in there, the court, did they give you standards that we could go by?
No, it just went by the
Right.
standards in Canton's ordinance at the time.
Right. Which were invalid. So I just want to make sure we're careful. But again, that's what the study session is for. Definitely, we need to look into it. I'm not for tree funds. I think it's a problem in itself for penalizing people. Again, the government is to serve the residents, and we're supposed to charge costs that are reasonably related to what we do. So I don't think it would satisfy the overall aspect if we tell somebody, take the tree down, but we're going to take $500 from you. I don't think that serves what anybody is asking. I'm sure it doesn't serve the Canopy percentages that we're looking for. But again, I just want to make sure we know. Before Councilman El Sawafi, then we have a couple more.
Thank you. And that's all. I want to look into it so that way we can have a better understanding of how potentially we keep the fund, but in a legal fashion. My other thing, and a lot of residents brought that up, first of all, I appreciate the administration's previous actions and initiatives that they took and I have seen that before, where hey, we talked about this in great detail, you get a free tree. All you have to do is make a phone call or go on the city website and put that request in. So I really appreciate that. And for myself, I ordered a tree. I tried to convince my neighbor to order a tree. They never got around to it. So my request, and I want to make an official request here to the administration, instead of waiting for residents, and I'm talking about the trees on the easement, instead of waiting for the residents to make that call, make that request, where it's a pull system, I'm looking to request that it's actually a push system where it's an opt-out. You put a tag on the door, or however you want to do it as administration, saying, look, we're going to put a tree next week. If you don't want it, give a call. This makes it easier for people to request or have a tree in their house, and then we can have more coverage. Because I know my understanding is that we have trees available, or we can have trees available, and this would make it a lot easier for people to have trees who might want a tree, but it's just a little bit hard for them to find the time, or maybe they're not tech savvy to go online and build that form. But before we go to you, Director, I just want to hear from the administration and from the chief on what your thoughts is on that request and putting it into action.
No, and I appreciate it, council member, and all the council's comments in regards to this ordinance. I think the administration is very much open to the idea and putting it into practice. I think it's something that we can definitely help operationalize so that we can ensure that we have more residents that are aware of and I think to the Councilwoman Herrick's points during the COW, how do we make this more visible and the education of how to request a tree more tangible and accessible to residents, which I'll share after the council comments of some of the things that the administration is working on.
No, that's great, and that's my point. We want to make it easier for people to have a tree. Some people want a tree, but they don't have the time, or they might forget, like my neighbor who still doesn't have a tree, and I remind him a couple of times, and I'm sure my neighbor wants a tree, but he doesn't have time to go through the process. So this would make it a lot easier to have a tree for everybody on their easements.
Director Hawkins?
Thank you. The tree removal program put forward by this administration is a full replacement program. The only way to not end up with a tree that we remove is to opt out. So understand, you do not get a choice. We remove a tree, we're putting a tree up unless somebody comes out and opts out of that.
Correct. I'm not referring to the removal.
Well, the only ones that would be left unplanted would be ones that were not removed by this administration.
Correct.
So, but this administration replaces one for one unless they file an opt-out. So, it would be limited to what has been removed in the past or illegally removed.
Right. So my request is to expand outside of that 1-for-1.
Right.
So people that don't have a tree on their easement right now.
I understand.
Yes, I don't want to mix the two.
No, and actually that's where, when somebody opts out, those are the trees that we may ensure that we plant somewhere that somebody wants one.
Right.
So they are not lost.
And you guys have been doing a phenomenal job, so I really appreciate you guys in last year and going on to this year as well. And people can still request a tree if they wish to.
Absolutely.
Right, all right. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Herrick?
Thank you, Council President. And I really want to thank my colleague on council, Councilman Al-Swafi, because he picked up on what we were talking about Thursday at our committee of the whole meeting. And I know a number of people that were here today spoke, heard those comments. But that's where I was headed, was I realized that when a tree is taken down by the current administration on the easement in front of somebody's house, those residents are given the opportunity to have a new tree put in its place, a young tree put in its place. I think that there has been some inconsistency, and we've talked about this at past meetings, regarding whether the resident got input on what kind of tree went into the yard or not. I know there are residents in the room right now who don't believe they had input on the tree that was put in front of their house. But more importantly, expanding that opportunity to residents whose trees were taken down in the past and who were not given the opportunity to have a free tree, and maybe we're not in a position to pay for the city to put in a tree 5 years or more ago. And in this era where we're seeing, a reduction of our tree canopy, and we all know how important, critically important it is to have an increased tree canopy, it seems that one of the least things we can do is find a way to provide a tree to any resident that does not currently have one on their easement. So I brought this up on Thursday. My colleague, Councilman Al-Salafi, just asked the same question, and I think we really need to go in that direction at the very least. Beyond that, I appreciate the background that Council President has given us on where we are right now with the tree ordinance and the challenges that we're facing with what previous councils tried to do in first putting this ordinance into place. I think we need to think outside the box of the ordinance that we currently have, and go beyond our own city's borders to look at examples of what's being done in other cities or possibly in other states that would be a legal way to try and have some impact on encouraging residents to maintain especially heritage trees that are on their property. And whether that's finding an incentive to reward the residents, acknowledge them in some way, to save their trees, or something that we have not yet discussed. I know that we're going to be having the study session that's coming up, as Council President notified us. between now and then, and also going forward, looking to residents and especially, you know, our own staff to look into what we can do beyond what we currently have that possibly could be challenged in court. Again, going back to, you know, the tree fund that was established with the intent of replacing trees that have been taken down if the property owner doesn't intend to put the same number of trees on their property. We need to think outside the box. I'm encouraged by the current administration, and I know a number of people have spoken here or written to us about that we have a new department in the city, the Public Health Department, which is charged with community overall health and has talked about environmental impacts. And we also have the commission that's been on the books for years, the Environmental Commission, which has not yet been activated. And just in recent months, our current administration put out the call and has accepted over 60 applications for that Environmental Commission. And I would hope that one of the first things that that commission does, along with the administration, is look at overall community health from the environmental impact perspective. We've taken great strides in ordinances that we put into place regarding reducing dust, fugitive dust from trucks. And we're looking at trees. It's, you know, everybody who's spoken here tonight, and again last Thursday and through letters, realizes the impact that trees can have on everything from reducing asthma rates in a community, absorbing water to prevent reduced flooding, and right down to slowing traffic. And there's studies that even show it can reduce crime to have trees in neighborhoods, increasing home values. We hear all of these things, but we need to take action to make sure that those who are not aware of the benefits of trees are aware of them, and to provide some kind of way to make it easier for them to have to join in and have trees on their property. So between the two commissions that we have in place and our opportunity on council here to, again, think outside the box, what can we do with our ordinance? I appreciate the input that we get from the public on what more we can be doing. And I thank all of you who've spoken and who have written to us, and please continue to do so because we value your input. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hamud.
Well, I appreciate a lot of what Councilman Herrick said as an asthmatic person who constantly talks about how great it is to have walkability in the city. And, you know, I'm sitting on the commission for the master plan and then also the flooding studies that we're doing, and we're pretty much, you know, in pretty bad shape on all these things, quite honestly. So we know the importance of trees, and of course trees lend a big portion to all of these, along with canopy cover, and they do improve walkability, traffic safety, you know, holistically. Trust me, everybody up here, like Council President said, understands the importance of trees, and that's why, you know, this is not an anti-tree ordinance. The reason that we regulate things as a government is usually to ensure the safety of people, but also to comply with things like appeals court rulings, where we have a lot of illegal laws on our books, and we're trying to make things actually make sense for the people who are trying to implement them, which is the administration. So I think it's really important just to remember some of the key things here, including the fact that there is no tree fee, and we are adding one now, or tree permit fee, sorry. And so that one I want to make super clear to everybody to summarize, along with the non-existent arborist requirement. I got a lot of emails asking about why we're pulling out the arborist requirement. And then I actually had a discussion with Council President Sereni. Why are we pulling out the arborist requirement? He goes, what arborist requirement? And I actually went through and I read it very carefully, and there's no wording about that. It was procedural. So, and it goes back to the language that our council, our legal counsel referenced, which was, it turns out that all these standards that we had put on that required an arborist didn't even stand up in court. So what were we even doing with that whole discussion? So we don't like to pay out on lawsuits as well. We don't like to fight things in court as a city. It's a waste of millions and millions of your tax dollars that we could be funding tree planting with. So it's better for everybody if we actually comply with state law on the laws that we were doing, which, you know, I know we have several charter commissioners here. You guys tried your best on that, and it was disappointing because, again, we were just trying to comply with state law, these things, and then they got twisted in social media, and then here we are. We ended up in a situation, again, where, I mean, we're living under the old charter, just we kind of don't enforce parts of it because we can't. So, you know, as a council, we try to be a little proactive. There are other things we did here tonight that actually just make the lives of people easier. That's what most of us are trying to do here. Honestly, we come here regularly, and we just try our best on these things. And I guess last, it's, you know, again, I love the passion, and I really appreciate it, but when I always encourage people, actually read what we're putting in, listen to some of the comments. We don't do anything in secret. We do 2 readings every single time. They're ordinances. Please come to the study session, and we'll explain everything in detail. I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody else said, but also I'm a nerd, and if they said anything wrong, they know I'll disagree with them. But everything everyone's been saying here tonight was very, very accurate. And just the last thing was just the tree fund. I guess my comment also to my colleagues, and question for our legal counsel. It's not the tree fund itself that's illegal, because we can create funds that say the water bottle fund, right? And we can say we're going to fund water bottles for all the employees, and we can pull out of the general fund and put it for whatever we want. The issue is the way that the fund was funded as a one-for-one taking, correct? It's not the fund itself that's illegal. It's just the method in which we funded it. Is that correct?
Well, I would say the method in which Canton funded it, but we have a similar method.
We have the same method.
Yeah, so the point is, we can still have a tree fund that is still in the ordinance, that is funded differently, if you read the summary. So no one's getting rid of any tree fund. It's just that we used to use it wrong, according to the courts. So just to kind of make it clear, we still have a tree fund. We still give out free trees to anyone who wants them. And if we want to do opt-ins, it's a discussion, in my opinion. Now this is where I'm throwing an opinion. I think we should discuss it during budget hearings, because DPW is already quite underfunded, in my opinion. And they have a lot on their plate as it is, and we would be just making a tree planting company rich. I think we should do it in-house, because I think our guys know how to plant trees and pull them out and do the whole thing. So it's a discussion that we should have during budget season, which passed, but we'll be having it next year. So I'm really excited about that. Let's talk about establishing a proactive tree planting program. No problem. Let's talk about how much it's going to cost and what we want to, you know, take money from other things to pay for it. Because yeah, I mean, we'll find it. We'll figure it out. We'll get a grant. The mayor's great at that. So that's pretty much all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Chief, you have anything from the administration? Last word?
Last word, I appreciate it, Council
Oh,
President.
hang on, I'm
So-
sorry. I didn't have Councilman Paris down. Councilman Paris?
I was hiding.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to ask Director Hawkins, you made mention of all the thousands of trees that we've planted and what we have in reserve that we're going to plant now in the future and so on. What is supplying the funding for that now? Where are we getting the money from specifically?
Tim Hawkins, DPW Director. Part of that funding was grant supplied. We landed some pretty significant grants from Friends of the Rouge, and we also put a line item in our budget for planting some of these as part of the tree removal.
Okay, so do we have any kind of an idea what we have available in funds for such a task of planting these trees?
Well, they're expended because I have to order a year in advance.
Okay.
So we're already marking, when I spoke about we're ordering 1,000 trees next year, the mayor has definitely come down on me about the size and diameter of trees we were planting. So we have to ensure that it meets the standard that he is setting forward on what we plant. So I need the funding a year in advance.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is because we all know that we got quite a bit of money, $47 million in ARPA funds. And you got cities like the city of Sterling Heights that got a $500,000 grant from ARPA. There are ARPA funds, and they also got another $500,000 from the U.S. Forest Urban and Community Forest Program. And it was in the same Detroit News article that a lot of people have read and understand that from a while back. The reason why I'm bringing it up, and Director Hawkins, I just wanted to know, because I personally did not know if we have any funding still in reserve or what have you, that we may want to look at that. You know, I know we have to expend those ARPA funds by 2026, and we
We're
gotta
already
have them.
expended. Well, that just
Yeah.
make sure that, I just want to make sure, Director Kennedy, because we don't want to misstate to the public. We'll have another email frenzy on those. Let's make sure we get this correct, because my understanding is this council has already appropriated those
Into
funds.
silos.
Oh, I just want to make
Yes.
sure. Let's have the director, and then Director Hawkins, we got some more.
Good evening, Michael Kennedy, Finance Director.
Mr. Kennedy, can you answer that question regarding the
The
ARPA funds?
question about ARPA funding, $47.2 million have been fully used in 2023.
Okay.
Recorded, audited, cleared, done.
By Clam Moran, in conjunction with the council approval because of the clawback provision, the perceived potential clawback provision.
Yes.
All right, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Thank you, Director Kennedy. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Mr. Director Hawkins, just to bring a couple more things up on the tree aspect, if you don't mind. I want to make sure that people understand the proactiveness that the city is taking. And I'd like you to speak to it. First, we haven't trimmed trees in the city of Dearborn until our recent contract in over 7 years. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. It's also my opinion, and from your expertise, that the aggressiveness that we're doing with the trees, removing the bad, because folks, I know we want to believe that the tree lasts forever. It doesn't. They can't last forever. They try, but some of them don't last forever. And I believe that it's your good work, that there's a reason why we've had many storms, like you've seen where there was loss of life in Livonia and around our surrounding communities, where we didn't have that here in Dearborn. And I attribute it to the fact that we have been proactive by taking down unhealthy trees that we didn't do before and replanting new ones before they came down from wind. Would that be your assessment as well?
Absolutely. With the mayor's initiative and council's support, the 1,000 trees we brought down were dangerous, hazardous, and potentially deadly. So we saw an astronomical decrease in overtime calls, in downed trees, in storm damage, property damage, in claims being made to the city by city-owned trees by doing this. And we hope to put a significant tree canopy back that will last many, many years without the damage that we saw in 22, 3. I mean, really.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to make sure people did know that, because we did have a couple residents just wanted to be concerned about how we were trimming the trees. And we did do a tree contract to do maintenance. When you don't maintain things, folks, I mean, most of us are homeowners, hopefully in the city, and your house always needs things. If you let it go 7, 8, or 10 years, there's going to be a problem. So we wanted to get in front of it and aggressively maintain and trim the trees. By the way, when you trim the trees, it makes them more healthier, they grow better and more healthier. So that's what we did. I want to make sure Councilman Paris has a chance to finish up, but I wanted to make sure that was noted. There was aggressive removement of trees that were about to collapse and replaced. Councilman Paris?
Yes, Council President. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that there probably are some grants out there, and if we have our money already expended, and this is the point I was trying to make, that we need to find new sources to be able to replenish that and be able to plant more trees. But just to what Council President was saying too about trimming the trees, there's a number of trees out there too that have been recently planted within the last year or two that have died. And it's because of lack of maintenance by the homeowner, who are given direction what to do. We've got the water trucks going by, for a period of time to make sure that that tree has a chance to grow. But it is our responsibility too, as homeowners, that have that easement responsibility of trying to maintain that tree so it has a chance to flourish. So, I mean, that's something we need to do, and maybe finding more funding to be able to even get more trees in the future, because there's a lot of easements out there. I like the opt-out feature, that we're only relying on that. We're going to do it unless definitively we get an opt-out. And if you get an opt-out, then that tree is going to be able to be planted, elsewhere. But what I wanted to make mention too is, have we actually, for this ordinance as a city, looked at other entities? Whether it's Friends of the Rouge or whether it's SEMCOG, or it was mentioned already too, and I had part of this already written down, the new Environmental Commission, that's coming up. And I will actually say our Public Health Director, Ali Abazid, mentioned areas in Dearborn in this Detroit News article just this last June, that because of fewer trees and factory smokestacks and air pollution, that we want to go ahead and plant these trees. Also further stated that the city is partnering with a clinic at the University of Michigan Law School and take a deep dive into all city ordinances, including those that are involving trees, and make recommendations on how Dearborn can be more environmentally sustainable. And it's not only the trees that are being planted, it's the type of trees. We've made mistakes in the past about the types of trees, and look at what happened with our Dutch elm and our ash trees. Could a lot of this have been foreseen? Maybe, maybe not. But the way that these trees are planted, maintained, and what types of trees is gonna make a world of difference. The administration has brought forward in the past too, that look, by some of the canopy cutting that we've done and maintaining these trees, it's only gonna take a short period of time, just a matter of years, for that canopy to grow again because of the tree trimming that's been taking place. So, I mean, I think the city is doing a lot to try to get people educated. We might have to do a little bit more on the trees that are planted because, man, even in my neighborhood, I've got dead trees that were just planted within the last couple of years. And, it shouldn't happen. I don't know if we can do anything about that in particular.
The trees have a guarantee, so if they die throughout the summer season, we plant them in the spring early and in the fall. That's why there's not typically as much summer planting, because it requires a lot more watering and maintenance. And when they die and we're alerted to it, again, we're out trying to look for them. So if you have one, call it in, but we replace them.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to have a dead tree on your median that we planted.
Okay.
Specifically.
And then last that I just wanted to bring up is I see some people that have spoken and some people in the audience. And Dr. Walters, I believe you're on the Water System Advisory Council also, and I appreciate your service at the EIC and to the university. I know who you are. You have some expertise in matters like this also. You are a resource. There are a number of people that are in the resource. Dr. Abazid in the back from our DPH is a resource. I just kind of feel, and I'm just bringing this up, that I feel that this ordinance is brought up rather quickly, and I really do appreciate that the council now is having a study session on this, and I would have the ask that we do involve a lot of other people in this, or asking for input on an ordinance and what they believe would be something that would be beneficial for us going forward. Because trees in the environment is important. The last thing I wanted to say is that that article also, and a series of other articles, made mention, and we even made mention of it tonight, that the local governments may not have control over whether residents plant trees on their property. But we as a city, I believe, should have a say about the removal of some of the trees. Because we even had it made mention during the committee of the whole that we've never denied anybody coming in for a permit. But it doesn't say how many people actually came in for a permit. Because I know for a fact, because I've reported a number of things that have happened after hours or on weekends, that all of a sudden trees are coming down by a contractor or somebody is cutting down trees and don't know if that is something that is legitimate or not and did get a permit. So you go ahead and call. And who is the person that you call? It's the police department, because it's after hours. And when the police department comes out, we had this discussion not too many months ago with the police department, have to train the officers what to ask, what to do. Make the report. Make the report. You can always follow up on it and find out if in fact that tree has been taken down legitimately. But if someone is not alerted to that in the city, who's to know? And then all of a sudden the trees are gone. And that's part of what we're talking about. So that's basically it. Friends of the Rouge.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I just want to make sure too that we keep this, Mr. Romer, this ordinance has not to do with funding and administrative and city easements, correct? This is about the personal property?
Yeah, this regulates the private property.
All right, do we have an ordinance that tells the administration how many trees to plant in the city aspect, or no?
As far as in our row?
Yeah.
No.
Right. So I just want to make sure we don't convolute. One thing is funding and budgetary, and another is, we're talking about the person's house that pays $10,000 or more, or whatever the number is nowadays, but thank God our taxes are trying to stay low in Dearborn. we're talking about personal property, so I want to make sure we don't conflict. There's a lot about easement. That is administrative and budgetary. Just like this council said that we wanted to fund a clean streets crew, that's our job, to fund that and come up with it and tell the administration we want 2 trees in every easement, no matter what. That's a separate issue. This issue, just so we can make sure we understand, not to convolute and mix it and delay things or bring things fast. I don't know how things can bring fast when the court rules that this is illegal. That usually means you need to address it. So it's not fast. We have an ordinance that is not being enforced because it is illegal on its face on a provision. So I just want to make sure that's clear. We're talking about personal residence house. We're not talking about the city easements. Those are separate issues that should be dealt with during funding like we did during our administrative aspect. I want to give Councilman Abraham to wrap it up, and then I know the chief had some more comments. Councilman Abraham.
Thank you, Council President, and I think you just stole my thunder because to me, I'm only going to make a couple quick points here. One, from my position, it's very difficult to assess change in canopy and how we're doing as a community. So I did 2 things leading up to this meeting. One, I tried to drive around a couple of the neighborhoods that I know have good tree structure, and a neighborhood that I felt in East Dearborn that has been alluded to not to have good tree structure. And then I didn't find that very fruitful. So I did the next thing that I felt was important. I actually just went on Google Earth and sort of used Google Earth to survey our city and community. And I'll just tell you my opinion, our neighborhoods have a lot of trees. I'm not saying they have enough. I don't want you guys all shooting me in the parking lot. But what I saw, and this is just me, I saw a lot of schools without trees. I saw a lot of parks without trees in a lot of areas. I saw a lot of businesses without trees and a lot of industry without trees. And I don't know how you deal with that, but the pockets of our community that are the lightest with trees, I mean, you can look at Fairlane Town Center. I don't think there's a tree anywhere within the inner circle of Fairlane. It's the biggest piece of concrete in our city, I think, maybe other than the Rouge. But again, from a top-down holistic look, I saw some really big problems that no one's talking about. And I agree, we all live in our neighborhoods and on our streets, and we all want our neighborhoods clean and safe and green. But I think we have to find the right balance. Not everybody wants a tree. I'll be candid. You can drive around. There's a reason 1225 Beachmont doesn't have any trees on it, right? Because somebody bought that property and decided they didn't want trees. Right or wrong, that's what they decided. I don't think it's right. I don't think you guys think it's right. But how we find that delicate balance between individual rights and privileges and opinions, and trying to legislate what's legal or illegal is really the challenge of this council here, and it's a difficult one. We all want a green community, but not everyone shares that. Even though maybe a majority do, still not everybody does. And again, I'll end where Council President started. I think we've really muddied this issue that's in front of us by talking about 4 or 5 different things that really are not at all affected by this ordinance. Whether it votes up or down, planting trees on easements, it's not part of this discussion. It's great to talk about it as part of a vision or strategy for our community, but realistically, that is not what's in front of me to vote on. And I think we have to be clear when we set a direction, we set a vision, we set a strategy, that we understand who the stakeholders are, what the vision is, and what the goals are, and how we're gonna pay for it. And there's a lot here. There's a lot in front of us with all the discussions, and they're all very good. And I think it's always good to start with input from the community. And I'll just leave it at that. I do think from looking at our streets from Google Earth's point of view, you'll see a lot of canopies. Again, maybe not enough, and maybe we're shrinking. I'm not even sure we're shrinking. I couldn't figure out how to find the time lapse to be able to look back on Google Earth. I know it's available, but to look back on changes. Because we're planting 1,000 trees a year on our property. And I don't know how many are coming down on private property. So, thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Abraham. And Chief, for the last words?
I appreciate it, Council President. Thank you, Council. Just a few words from the administration. One, I want to thank the residents who came out, both for the COW and for the council. Your commitment to the city, but also to the greening of the city is definitely encouraging, but also matched on this end, which is kind of exciting. The reason I say that is the administration, in support of the council, between the Public Health Department and the DPW Department, are working on our approach to our tree canopy policy as a city. As mentioned before, the mayor actually sat as one of the co-chairs for the SEMCOG, Green Initiative Task Force, and a part of that was how do cities move towards expanding their tree canopy. So that's something that we're very much committed to as administration. In addition to that, the mayor did want me to mention that the administration is very much in support of and would like the language to be added to the ordinance that the city is in a position to plant a tree anytime a tree is being removed off of private property, whether it's on a city easement or our public parks. In addition to that, possibly exploring, and I look to legal for this, possibly exploring what the ability of the city to assist with planting or providing trees for private property as well, so when they're taken down. But I think that, all that to say is, I can't say it enough how fortunate we are as a city to have a public health mayor, one that takes that lens and approach to all of the decisions that we make as a city. And with that, I think we bring that to the study session. I appreciate Council President and Councilman Abraham and others who have suggested the study sessions, because I think that's also an opportunity for us to delve a little bit deeper and answer any of the unanswered questions. But I did want to just reiterate the administration's commitment to ensuring that we expand our green spaces in the city of Dearborn. If you're not familiar with the Green Belt, it's also an initiative by the mayor to take industrial properties and turning them into green spaces, in addition to actually creating 2 new parks in the city of Dearborn. So kind of moving in the direction of enhancing our city through green infrastructure and green spaces. So I just wanted to kind of add that, because hearing that our residents go out and plant 70+ trees is amazing. And I think it's something that is definitely notable, but also so much appreciated. And we thank you for that commitment.
Thank you, Chief. All right, again, this is first reading, and we have a study session scheduled for 6:30 September 4th, Wednesday, in the chambers at 6:30 p.m. as well. All right, Mr. Clerk, can we have the first reading?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 24-1823, an ordinance to amend the licenses and business regulations Chapter 12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Dearborn by amending Article 24 entitled Tree Removal and Replacement.
All right. A unanimous roll shall be attached unless there are any objections. Shall be attached. Next item.
Item 29, resolution by council members Paris and Enos approving the proposal from the Friends for Animals of Metro Detroit for Phase 2B exterior design of the animal shelter located at 16121 Reckinger Road and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. In 2014, a memorandum of understanding was executed between the City of Dearborn and the Friends of Animals of Metro Detroit, or FAMD, in relation to funding and operation of a new animal shelter within the municipality complex of 16121 Reckinger Road. This property was transferred from the City of Dearborn to the shelter for them to construct a new facility. The MOU stipulates certain requirements, including the exterior design of the facility requires both the mayor and city council approval. The Friends are proposing another addition to the building, Phase 2B, and are seeking approval for the MOU. The scope of the project includes expanding this existing building to the east to construct administrative offices, grooming and nursery rooms, and the animal control drop-off for the Dearborn Police Department as well. The total building area with the addition will be approximately 19,373 square feet. The mayor issued his approval for the exterior appearance already, and the MOU is satisfied by Ford Land, which was also issued their approval as well. Because they have deed restrictions on it, was granted on April 16th. And this is also immediate effect is being requested. I know we have some people here from the animal shelter. Do we have any questions or comments from my colleagues? Any comments from the friends? Nope. All right.
Council President?
Yes,
If I
Chief?
may?
Yes.
And I think I just want to echo the excitement on, the city side of being able to see this expansion come into fruition, but also some of the pictures that we've been able to see of what this very colorful and, project is going to look like. Just wanted to add our definitely excitement about the expansion and how beautiful it is going to be. So,
We do appreciate it. I know that pretty much every council member has visited the current shelter, and I know the expansion is going to be an undertaking. We wish you the best, and hopefully it will go expedient. Construction is what it is, and I know that that's tough. So hopefully you'll get through, but at the end, there's a nice thing at the end there for you. And hopefully that will help. I know that it does matter as far as service related, so hopefully that will help. Any other questions or comments? Okay, any objection to unanimous roll? Hearing none shall be attached. Next item.
Item
Thank you.
30, resolution by council members Herrick and Hamud, authorizing the use of enclosure of West Village Drive between Howard and Tenney Streets in between the east and west parking structures from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. for the 2024 Dearborn Summer Market taking place on September 13th, 2024. Also authorizing a noise waiver for the duration of the event, and that a rain date be set as September 20th, 2024, and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kirk. This item is proposed from Economic Development Department for a final date of the Dearborn Summer Market, September 13th, to be reallocated to Peace Park 1.0 site to serve as an inaugural activation of the park. The WDDA, West Downtown Authority, is requesting the closure of West Village Drive between Howard and Tenney, between the east and west parking structures between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the last Dearborn Summer Market date of Friday, September 13, 2024, with a rain date set for September 20th, 2024. The park's existing infrastructure, including a stage and sound system, will assist with accommodating the music at the market component, which is currently scheduled to feature Crampton, is that pronounced right? Crampton Brothers six-piece band. It is also requested the City Council waive the noise ordinance during the summer market event, as is currently to be waived previously at the summer market dates that were at the Brian Spratt Library as well. The ultimate decision to proceed to this relocation is contingent upon the completion and construction of the process, the projected process and administrative approvals. A definite determination will be made by August 13th. The Police Department, Fire Department, and Department of Public Works have all approved the site plan, including subsequent street closures, and immediate effect is being requested. Any questions or comments on this item? Councilman Hamud?
We did discuss on Thursday about expanding the hours, and then DP, or Department of Economic Development, well, whatever, Economic Development came back and said they were fine with these hours, because for now, it seems like they're only gonna have basically one event, right? Yeah, so.
All right.
We'll see next year, but I am really excited about another.
I know you like closing roads, so I
Yes.
knew you were gonna say something.
You know what? Yeah, I'll say it. The
Say
road
it.
closure on West Village in the other part of the downtown is going spectacularly, and I'm so happy that you guys are finally asking us for more, because it really quiets down the downtown and it makes things so much more walkable, safe, and more pleasant for people to be in all of the parks that are in the area. So thank you guys.
And if anybody wants, if anybody wants to see where's a great place to eat in the West Downtown, follow Councilman Hamud on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's eating there every night.
I just ate Modern Greek tonight.
There you go.
at a meeting, yeah.
It's a good thing when the downtown is popping, and I hope that this park will bring it all together.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
you
for
say
our
popping?
residents in the nearby, brings it closer to keep the noise away from the homes aspects. Hopefully that will help.
You guys can see I'm rubbing off on Mike.
There you go. Any question, any objection, unanimous roll? Okay, hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll should be attached. Next item.
Item 31, resolution by council members Abraham and Paris awarding a one-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options to the Arab American News pending satisfactory vendor performance, and an annual amount not expected to exceed $30,000 for publication of official city notices, and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. As required by Section 7.10 of the city charter, the city shall designate a newspaper of general circulation in a city qualified to print legal notices under the laws of the state of Michigan as official newspaper of the city of Dearborn. The city clerk's office, in conjunction with purchasing, recommends the award a contract to the Arab American News for publication of official city notices. The Arab American News is a free publication available at various locations throughout the city. Selecting the Arab American News as city's official publication supports a local business and increases accessibility as it is published in both English and Arabic. The award of the contract shall be for 1 year initial term with 2 one-year renewal terms. The value of the contract shall not exceed $30,000 annually. For the term, and the agreement shall be charged to the general fund, city clerk, and publishing budget. It is requested that council authorize this award and renewal options contingent upon satisfactory vendor performance with immediate effect to avoid any gaps in service. And I also would like our purchasing director to come forward regarding this.
Council, Mark Brzezinski, Purchase Manager.
Just for the residents, I want to make sure they understand the process on this. Unfortunately, with today's social media, electronic media, websites, the state statutory requirement still requires to publish in a newspaper of circulation. So it has to be a physical paper. And that contract was held for some time by the city of, by Dearborn Press and Guide.
Correct.
Which, as some of people have followed, the council has seen that they have had some issues publishing on a timely basis for many, many, many months. So we, as a council, requested it to be bid out. I'd like you just to speak on the bidding process and how many times it went out and that you actually solicited. Can you speak to that?
Yes, correct. We posted it twice. The first time, we did not receive any bids at all. So we did some outreach. We tried to contact different newspapers, and then we posted it once more, and we received only one bid from Arab American News.
All right. And the current bidder did not reapply?
They did not.
Okay.
No.
And just so people know too, a lot of times the council, when we look at things and we see, hey, there's no bidders or there's a lot of people pulled but nobody responded, that usually gives you a ding, ding, ding that there's something wrong with what we were doing. In this case, we had a response back that our insurance requirements were substantial and didn't pass muster. We did make some changes to make sure that it was fair. But I want everybody to understand the requirement to publish is statutory. We have talked to our state reps. We really think with today's digital media aspect, we should be able to publish electronically, but unfortunately, that's not the law, so we have to follow through with it. But I just want to make sure the residents know that we put this out several times. We made adjustments to try to make it more attractive, because of course, businesses are here to make income and and make a profit, and if we want to make sure they do, but we also have to serve our application. So, any other questions or comments? Any objection, unanimous roll? Okay, hearing none, shall be attached. Thank you. Next item.
Item 32, resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Herrick awarding a contract to Hamilton Anderson Associates in the amount of $82,500 for the Bryant Library Garden Hub landscape design and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. The evaluation team on behalf of the library recommends a contract award for the Bryant Branch Library design to Hamilton Anderson Associates. The contract has a total cost of $82,500. Currently, the grounds are ineffective for meeting the current needs of the facility and creating accessibility challenges. Currently, the library's existing parking lots, pathways, landscape signage, and grounds are outdated, and it does not foster the city's vision of vibrant and inclusive community. The existing landscape should be replaced with plants, features, and align with the library's and city's focus of sustainability and life cycles with entire grounds surrounded by, that will foster the ability for residents to connect with this as well. And we also have our director here. Director, if you'd like to come forward. I just want to make sure everybody understands this process. I know we don't have any photos yet because this is the early stage, but I know that a lot of us look at things on the council, and to us, planning and actually having a good plan.
Correct.
Well, we've had some people say, you know, hope is not a good plan.
No,
Yes,
no.
so planning is
Hopes and
important.
wishes do not build bridges, so
That's
no.
right. So I just want you to state your name for the record, and I want to let
Betty Adams, Library Director.
Right. So we're talking about the space at the library.
Correct.
And
All
I just
four
want to make sure
sides
the
of
residents know,
building.
this contract is strictly to find a great design. And folks,
Mhm.
if you ever did anything, designers are worth their weight in gold
Mm-hmm.
because they save you many, many problems in the future, allow you to see what it's going to look like before you go out to bid, and also allows you to get better, more competitive bids and better costs.
Correct.
So if you could just speak a little bit to that process of where we're at right now.
Correct. So it does provide a timeline for the full implementation of the entire, from start to finish, getting feedback from the community on what their vision is for the landscape itself. We are incorporating all four sides of the building, and sound management as well as patron services and the future of the library are all being considered. The opportunities there are going to be designed out based on the feedback that we receive from the community, which is the first stages, and that's where we're going to start doing the drawings and the schematics. After that point, then we would be placing it out to bid through the company that we have selected, and they would walk us through and be sure that we would have all of the appropriate needs met with that bid.
Oh, that's excellent. So I wasn't aware of that.
They're walking
So
us
it's
through
more
the
like a-
entire process.
Yeah, so it's more like a project manager as well.
Correct.
Okay, I was unaware. I knew it was designed, but that's excellent. So that's excellent.
Yeah.
That's very important as well.
Yes.
All right, any questions or comments from my colleagues? Councilwoman Herrick?
Thank you, and thank you, Director Adams, for leading the charge on making this happen at the Bryant Branch Library. I know we have a number of residents who've been waiting a long time to see what happens, especially on the north side, the back of the Bryant Library.
Correct.
That's been seriously underutilized for a number of years now, and at least we have cement connecting the door. For a while, there were plank boards while we were kind of figuring out what was going to happen there. But it's obviously a great community gathering space, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Just last week, we had the Friday market and lots of families out and a lot of fun activities happening all around the library. And in particular, I know Council President included this in his comments, but ADA accessibility and parking has been a concern for a number of years because we have a lot of residents with varied needs who come to the library, and so them being able to get from wherever they parked into the building has been a concern. And again, we have pavement there at least right now, which is better than the boards we had for a little while.
Right.
But and how are we going to be gathering community input? You mentioned that would be part of the process. So
Yes.
what do you think that's going to look like?
Well, of course, going after the community that is in the area of Bryant Library proper, but we've also been increasing our programming at that location, and our numbers have been increasing in foot traffic general.
That's great.
Along with, I think it's part and parcel that lot had been addressed, at least for the temporary measures that are in place, and that they see that there's activity taking place in that location now. And attributed to the summer market being there now and seeing that the library is engaged in wanting that feedback. So we've already actually been receiving, and even today, I got word from our foundation members about concerns for that Bryant ADA accessibility, as well as the usage of the building in the future. So by responding to these ground floor people who are touching base with myself, as well as our administration and our outside organizations like the foundation, the Friends, and council and other members, as soon as it's contacted with me, I respond and give them all of the information to be at that table when the time comes for the conversation. So that's just the initial communication from me and my team, and we offer it once that meeting is established. Those invites, they're on the list to be invited to the table by giving this feedback already. So if anybody is of interest to be at the table, you can find my information on our website, and you're welcome to email me personally, and I will add you to the list of meet and greet recipients for the conversations.
And just one last thing, since you mentioned it, I know some of the neighborhood associations will spread the word.
Absolutely, yes.
But what's the timeline look like for getting this done?
We're hoping for a year turnaround from start to finish. So by this time next year, that we would be fully renovated and reestablished and redesigned.
Terrific. Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Adams. We got Councilman Hamud?
Oh, yeah, I think this is kind of one of those downtown items that I've been talking about basically since we came on board, which was I always felt like the Bryant Branch Library was kind of underutilized considering it's in one of the most walkable parts of the city. But even when I talk to people, especially like younger people, like millennials and stuff, they're like, there's a library there. So I'm sure you hear that one all the time. And I mean, even just walking by, you know, because it's kind of in front of the Starbucks over there and Jebel, which is like right across the corner. There's a big coffee scene right there, and you'd think that it would naturally lend itself. Yeah, it makes sense, but like it hasn't really integrated yet, I think, in a way where you see other communities really utilizing their libraries as a stronger part of the, like the third place, of a downtown, which is like you're supposed to be able to hang out in the area. So, and I think, funny enough, and clearly you also agree, the landscaping, it sounds weird, but it's part of it, right? The landscaping has to be inviting people in. Right now, the library kind of sits on top of a hill. It's hidden behind trees. It's not visible. You know? Yeah, I know. So my point is, yeah, I know, right.
Its limitations with signage and wayfinding and accessibility.
Right, even the signage, you know, it's kind of dilapidated, and there's some of the, even next to the commandant's quarters, actually, there's even like kind of the signage is like peeling and things like that. So people might not realize it's a public building, you know, and the building itself is very beautiful, but some of the outside maintenance does not do it justice. So I really appreciate that you're bringing this item, and I know that, you know, sometimes people think it's easy to spend money, but when you're actually doing a real planning project and stuff like that, it requires actual staff time, and they have to sit down and evaluate it. So I really appreciate that you guys are willing to undertake this project. I think it's one of those things where it's pushing the city forward in small incremental steps that people may not realize until it finally comes to fruition in a couple of years. So thank you so much for undertaking this.
And thank you for notifying us that, or noticing that the library is a third space. Starbucks sort of took that title, but
Yeah, not anymore, not in
libraries
Dearborn.
are absolutely the original third space of the public space.
Right,
And
yeah.
we welcome everybody to the Bryant Library to establish some sort of footprint to see what it looks like currently, and we're taking feedback. I've been taking feedback this entire time on its established trajectory of what we're hoping to get from it. So I'm more than welcome for any further communications on it, and we are going to be hosting community outputs for that.
Excellent. And then, Director, I just wanted to recognize and thank you for the work you've done. I know a lot of us, you know, we are moving from that age of past libraries where if you dropped a pencil, you were out the door.
Correct.
To the new library, which you have been taking over, and it's been doing a great job. I know when the mayor had spoken to me about you and your roots in Dearborn and what Dearborn means to you like it all to us, I do appreciate it. These are big undertakings, and like I've told many directors, the mayor and the administration, along with the council, has been able to find pockets of funding, which, by the way, folks, that's your money, just the government's holding it. We're trying to get it back to the city of Dearborn, and we have been putting these transformative projects into our community, whether it's leading in our police department with drones, or in our health department, which is the health and all policies, which is a new created department, and yourself in the library. The directors have a real chance to shine and show what you can do with this, since we are pushing in the envelope. So I do appreciate it, because I do think the libraries are different now. You know, with internet access all over the world and wherever you're in the phones, and you know, it's great. You know, I know I studied there many times, and I know that it's starting to come back even more as a place that's activated. So we do appreciate your work in the short time that you've been.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Just a note on the sound in the buildings, so
Yes.
everyone's aware, they all now have, the Henry Ford Centennial Library has a sound map available on our website as well.
Oh, that's
because
good.
we have established the locations in the building as quiet zones, social zones, or study zones. So that way, there's clarifying markers throughout the buildings as well. So we are taking patron feedback in all of our locations.
And that wasn't in the past.
Correct. That was a new initiative, and again, we received feedback today that that was a positive change.
Oh,
on
without
the
question.
policies.
Yeah, without question. I know
Yeah.
in U of M library as well, too, they have floors that are designated that way for years, so.
Correct,
I
yes.
appreciate, but it's good to know that we didn't have that in ours, and now
It's
we
the little
do.
things, but it's also just listening to the community, and we really are
Every
limited
bit
only by
helps.
our imagination at the library, and we want to hear what everyone's imagination is for the future. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Hatters. Every bit helps. Thank you. Any objection, unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 33, resolution by council members Abraham and Herrick awarding a cooperative contract to We Build Fund via the Sourcewell Cooperative Contract number 030117-LTS in the amount of $208,389.95 for the installation of the new playground at Arthur Bassey Park, and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. As the part of the Parks and Recreation Department's commitment to upgrading playgrounds citywide, the Arthur Bass Park has been selected. Oh, there we go. We got it on the screen, folks. Has been selected to as the next park to receive a new playground equipment Through our CDBG funding, the new playground will replace a 26-year-old equipment featuring a Miracle Mega tower designed with 2 decks. The 9-foot deck will allow kids to safely climb to higher elevations. It also offers 2 slides and a number of climbers to help build upper body strength and coordinate with also play panels, kaleidoscopes, mini city garden, sensory walls with promote imagery and sensory play as well. This is the city's 3rd playground with turf surfacing and a concrete border, which will help to ensure longevity and low maintenance as well. The Parks and Recreation Department, in conjunction with purchasing, recommends awarding a contract to We Build Fund for the renovation of the Arthur Bass Playground. The city is eligible to participate in a Sourcewell Cooperative Contract, which is 030117-LTS. The requested amount is $208,389.95, and immediate effect is being requested. Any questions or comments on this new playground outfit? Okay. Hearing and seeing no objection, we will attach a unanimous roll. Thank you. Next item.
Item 34, resolution by council members Abraham and El Sawafi, authorizing a cooperative contract purchase via cooperative contracts with the Library Network, the Midwest Collaborative for Library Services, and the Michigan Library Cooperative Directors Association from Midwest Tape LLC, Ingram Library Service, Baker and Taylor, Cengage Learning, Inc., W.T. Cox, Overdrive, and Press Reader, in the total amount not to exceed $465,000 for the purchase of a variety of library materials for fiscal year 2025.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. This is a yearly purchase order or PO request for a purchase of major vendors for various library materials. The library selection staff purchase a wide variety of materials annually, mainly to be borrowed to the public. The majority of the new titles recently published or re-released also includes digital titles such as e-books, streaming movies, and e-audio materials, which are very popular nowadays. The library has an opportunity to piggyback on purchases which vendors with the Michigan Library Cooperative Directors Association statewide book and AV contract, the Library Network Association contract, as well as the Midwest Collaborative or Library Services contract. The requested amount is $465,000. Again, folks, this contract assures that we're getting the competitive bid that has been put out throughout Library Network, so we do appreciate their resources and their hard work to find these resources so that we can get the same pricing and make sure that our tax dollars are allocated properly. Any questions or comments on this item? Any objection, unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 35, resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Herrick granting the request of Dearborn High School to conduct its annual homecoming parade on Friday, October 11th, 2024, from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., subject to the applicable ordinances and the rules and regulations of the police department, also authorizing a noise waiver for the duration of the event and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Dearborn High School will be hosting its annual homecoming parade on Friday, October 11th, 2024. The event will take place at 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. and is expected to have an attendance approximately 300 plus. It is requesting that the city waive the noise ordinance as well during this event. The Dearborn High School homecoming parade route will be the same as in previous years and will have minimal traffic interruptions as well as police protection for them as well. Immediate effect is being requested. We're already into back to school and homecoming time, so that's how fast the summer goes, huh? You know, any questions or comments, any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 36, resolution by council members Herrick and Paris approving the request of the Kiwanis Club of Dearborn, located in Dearborn, to hold its annual peanut sales and solicit contributions on September 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at various public roadways throughout the city and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Kiwanis Club of Dearborn, which has been recognized as a tax-exempt nonprofit organization by the IRS since 1996, requests that the council approve to sell their peanuts on the public streets of the city of Dearborn. The funds raised by the sales will support numerous community service projects and local organizations that benefits youth, elderly, and the disadvantaged. This is a great program, folks. I know that our Residents are very generous and see people in the street selling peanuts. Stop and get your peanuts. The sale will be on September 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And again, all rules and state laws and statutory requirements and insurance requirements will be fulfilled. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Okay, any objection to unanimous roll? Unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 37, resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Hamud authorizing the finance director to recognize Wayne State University grant funds in the amount of $5,000 and appropriate to the general fund public health department budget and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Wayne State University has awarded the City of Dearborn Department of Public Health grant funds in the amount of $5,000 for work with the Project Refocus project. This is part of a larger Communities in Context project, the Project for Community Engaged Monitoring Framework that will track structural drivers of inequality in communities and promote informed action. This request to the Finance Director to recognize and appropriate these funds to the amount of $5,000 with immediate effect. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay, any objection to unanimous roll? Unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 38, resolution by council members Herrick and El Sawafi authorizing the finance director to recognize and appropriate the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services grant funds in the amount of $3,166,700. Also authorizing the finance director to sign the grant agreement on behalf of the city and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Some exciting news. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, or MDHHS, has awarded the City of Dearborn grant funds in the amount of $3,166,700 for work for the purpose of implementing initiatives to promote health and safety for the community. The Department of Public Health by Director Abazid is here. So before I read this, Director, and authorize, let me just put this on the record, to authorize the Finance Director to recognize and appropriate the funds of $3,166,700 with immediate effect and allow the Finance Director to sign the agreement. Director Abazid, if you'd just like to state your name.
Ali Abazid, Public Health Director.
Well, Director, just for the residents to know, I mean, obviously, when you started, this was the Department of One. I know that you have also had several fellows and had the council come by and see what your work. But this is a very, very big deal. I'd like you to expand it for our residents. I mean, over $3 million for health in the community. Can you please tell us a little bit about it, what it's going to do, but more importantly, how did you end up winning this?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give credit to the mayor for his lobbying and his advocacy at the state level. He obviously has a lot of experience from his background. And we were able to secure these funds in the Department of Health and Human Services budget. It's a huge victory for the city. It's a huge victory for the Public Health Department. When we launched, I did say that every dollar invested in local public health tends to return between $14 and $33. I'd have to do the math, but I think we're coming pretty damn close to that return on investment. But that said, the public health return on investment is not just measured in dollars and cents. It's in improving the health and well-being of the community. It's in improving built environment. And we're planning on using these funds in coordination with departments across the city. Some of the projects that we're discussing are traffic calming projects.
Right.
We're talking about environmental sustainability projects. And we're also talking about investing in maternal and infant health projects as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Director, I know that a lot of us were on here, and I know most of us, if not all of us, supported this health and all policies, but what you've been able to do in such a short period of time, and I know the mayor was really pushing on this, but you also have to have a driver and the department to be able to implement it. And I'm really impressed with, I didn't know it went to that scope of walkways, raised arches, and so on and so forth that could help in the community health and safety. But I can tell you, the residents have seen things already happening, and it's definitely making a difference. And I think by this time, people know that the health department is not for them to come and get a shot for anything. So we know that now, and I think that stopped, the calls stopped coming for that. What does your health department do? And now they understand it's health and all policies. And this right here is just another feather in the cap of your department, and we wish you the best. This is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman Herrick?
Thank you, and congratulations, Director Abazid. I really appreciate everything that you and your department are doing. What are you thinking regarding the maternal health program? Are we partnering with a particular hospital, or do we know where we're headed with that?
Yeah, this is not a secret. I mean, we're trying to bring a version of the Flint RX Kids program to Dearborn. For the uninitiated, the Flint RX Kids program launched last year. It's a first of its kind cash prescription program in the country. Dr. Mona Hena Atisha, famously known for exposing the Flint water crisis, was able to bring that to Flint. It's a life-changing program in Flint, and we're working to bring a version of that. I don't think we'll be able to bring the full version to Dearborn, but the program allows for pregnant women at 20 weeks pregnancy to get a $1,500 cash stipend and then $500 a month for the first 12 months of that baby's life. All the data, all the evidence shows that you want to invest in the health and well-being of people, do it at that critical period of right before and right after pregnancy. And so we need quite a bit of funds to make that happen in Dearborn, but we do think that we can make some progress on a version of that in Dearborn. So some of the funds in this $3.2 million grant are hopefully going towards that.
And what's the timeline look like for this as well?
Sometime in 2025. Yeah, we're still figuring out some of the details with how these particular funds we're able to use them. This is the first time the state uses legislative sponsors for the MDHHS grant, so we're still figuring out a lot of the details.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm sure you'll know where to put it.
Yeah.
We're going to be in good shape. Councilman Paris.
If I could, Director, thank you for coming up here. I did notice in the backup, and what you alluded to also, is some of these funds may be directed to neighborhoods to improve non-motorist safety through traffic calming initiatives. Could I ask what that may entail? Because, of course, the public at large here in Dearborn and other communities, there's a problem out here, with safety of bicyclists, and let alone motorists and pedestrians. So what that might look like, or what we might figure that might look like in the future?
Yeah, Council President, you mentioned some of them. Whether it's walkways, increasing walkability, whether it's increased elevated archways, so that you can see the ground a little bit clearer if you're in a motor vehicle. It's potentially putting some traffic lights on bicycle lanes so that you can delineate between a traffic roadway and a walkable roadway. There's a whole range, and we're working hand in hand with the police department and their traffic calming engineers on figuring out some of the best locations and sites across the city to do so. So a real testament to the Health and All Policies approach, that we have those tentacles all across our government operations to figure out the best locations and the best interventions.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Director. Any other questions or comments? Any objection, unanimous roll? Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, step forward. I didn't see that.
Hi there, Tila Mori, 3804 Alice Street. First of all, lots of money, that's awesome. My main question for you is, what are you going to be doing to bring in the citizens into what you make as decisions with this money? For example, Bike Dearborn has been trying to get the city to follow the MMTP, which is the multimodal transportation plan. So I'd like to see that we use this money to try and address some of the things that were brought up with that plan.
Yeah, I read that plan. I think first couple weeks on the job. We have a lot of community engagement. I mean, our residents aren't shy to let us know their thoughts and feelings on a range of issues, whether that's through social media, whether that's through the various commissions. We have a strong partnership with planning and with the Economic Development Department, and so we're constantly in touch with them. I myself show up to a lot of neighborhood association meetings, whether there's 2 people there or 30 people there. And as Councilwoman Herrick mentioned, we are launching soon our Environmental Commission, which we're excited about more community engagement. So you can show up, in those settings and provide that input.
And you're still in the assessment stage too, right? We're still in the
Very much
assessment
so.
stage, which is
Very much so.
when we get back to plan. I mean, that's the initial, right? Am I right, Director? I mean,
Right.
that's the playbook.
I mean, we're here today just to authorize, Director Kennedy to be able to sign this agreement so that we
Yeah,
can
of
start
course,
thinking
of course.
about next steps, and then obviously we'd have
Absolutely.
to come back to council for those steps.
For
So there's a lot of-
allocation. The money does have to come back here to be allocated, but it's a very good point.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Any objection, unanimous roll? Unanimous roll shall be attached. Thank you, Director. Congratulations. Next item.
Item 39, resolution by Council President Sereni, supported unanimously, offering condolences to the family of Gada Mustafa and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Dr. Gada Deeb Mustafa of Dearborn tragically passed away on July 19, 2024 at the young age of 33 years old. She was a dedicated and passionate doctor, a loving wife, and a proud mother of 3 children. She was a devoted wife to Dr. Ruda Wissam Marui. She was a proud and loving mother to Yusuf, Mariam, and Hassan. She is a cherished daughter to Deeb Mustafa and Haji Nawal Hassan Mustafa. She was a beloved sister of Dr. Musa, Dr. Wanda, and Dr. Maha. Her commitment to her husband, children, and family was endless. Her character and reputation will live on through them, and the values she instilled in them will continue to shape their lives. Dr. Mustafa was a Brem Scholarship at Fortson High School, recognized for outstanding academic achievement in her education at the University of Michigan, both in her bachelor's and medical degrees. She worked as a family physician and was affiliated with Cornwall Health of Taylor and Dearborn Hospital. As a skilled physician, she touched countless lives, providing care, comfort, and empathy and understanding to those in need. She tirelessly worked to improve the health and well-being of her patients with a sense of encouragement, hope, and trust. Her patients were thankful for her kindness, her colleagues admired her expertise, and her community praised her as a rising star with an unwavering devotion to making the world a better place. Her memory continued to inspire those future generations in health professions and the deep respect and gratitude for her. It is difficult to comprehend the senselessness of this tragedy. Dr. Mustafa had a much more life in her to give, so many more lives to touch, and so many more memories to create with her loved ones. Her sudden departure is a reminder of how short life can be and the need for the care and responsibility on our roads. In this time of profound grief, let us come together and support the family, colleagues, and the community, and let us honor Dr. Mustafa by cherishing her remembrance we have of her, and by living our lives with the same compassion and dedication that she exemplified. Our hearts go out to Dr. Mustafa's family and friends during this incredible, difficult time. May they find strength and comfort and peace with one another. Her spirit will forever remain in our hearts, and her legacy will continue to inspire all of us. We offer to all our most heartfelt, sincere sympathy and sincere condolences to the family of the deceased. And a unanimous roll shall be attached. Thank you. Next item.
Item 40, resolution by Council President Pro Tem Herrick, supported unanimously, offering condolences to the family of Robert L. Bridges and requesting immediate effect.
Robert Leno Bridges was born on June 19, 1931, and passed away July 30, 2024, at the age of 93. Affectionately known as Rocky, he was a respected educator, coach, and community pillar. He was the devoted husband of the late Christine, who he married in August of 1956, and was the love of his life for 54 wonderful years. He was the loving son of the late John and Kathleen Bridges, and brother to the late John H. Bridges. He was blessed to have 7 children: Lynn Adsit, Michelle Bridges, the late Timothy Bridges, Leanne Bridges Barker, Thomas Bridges, Christopher Bridges, and the late Robert Bridges. He was the proud grandfather to 11 grandchildren. He is also survived by numerous nieces and nephews, extended family members, and dear friends. Robert was an illustrious graduate of Fortson High School, class of 1948. Following high school, he worked at Ford Motor Company and served in his country in June 1953 and was honorably discharged August 1955. Robert's teaching and coaching career began at Dearborn High School, where he taught mathematics for 42 years. He coached track and field and cross country for an astounding 63 years. Over the years, he also coached football and wrestling, leaving an indelible mark on countless faculty, students, athletes, parents, and the community. He also coached football at several Catholic high schools. Robert deeply appreciated the parents who entrusted him with their sons and daughters in the athletic and academic arenas. He also took great pride and was happy for the many student athletes who went on to compete at the college level. Robert's impressive and phenomenal achievements include being named Michigan Interscholastic Track Coaches Association Coach of the Year in 1993 and 1995. In 1994, he was inducted into the Michigan Coaches Association Hall of Fame. In 2011, he was honored by the City of Dearborn Sports Legend Hall of Fame, and in 2012, he was also inducted into the National High School Association Hall of Fame. To honor him for all the good he did in sports, the track at Dearborn High School was named Robert Rocky Bridges in 1998, and the field was named after him in 2009. Robert will be remembered not only for his remarkable career and achievements, but also for his profound impact on the lives of his students, athletes, colleagues, and the Dearborn community. I'd just like to add it as a personal note, Mr. Bridges was my math teacher when I was at Dearborn High School, and he helped me see through the cobwebs of getting through several math classes. When I didn't think I could do it, somehow he just reached me, and I know I wasn't the only one in his classes who felt that way, that he just was able to reach out to the students in his classrooms in ways other teachers might not have been able to do. And seeing the impact he had on my fellow students who were athletes at school, I think he really touched the lives of almost everyone who attended Dearborn High School at that time. His legacy will continue to inspire and guide future generations and will live on in our hearts of all who knew and loved him and respected him. To all, we offer our most heartfelt sympathy and sincere condolences.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. I'd like to just add on to that. My interaction with Coach Bridges will always be known as Coach Bridges. I had a great opportunity to have several conversations with him, and many of you that watch the council know how much I admire the greatest generation to live, people that went off, left their family to fight in wars, protect our country in service, come back and work, decent, hard-working people, and live great lives that influenced hundreds, if not thousands of students, is a tremendous testament. I was very fortunate to see him many times as my kids were at graduated Dearborn High School, and one of my sons that did play track and have interactions with him, a tremendous man that will be sorely missed, but is a giant in Dearborn High School legacy. And folks, so much is lost on how much these people affect and impact the lives of the young students. It really is a very big loss. A tremendous man Coach Bridges was, and we do our condolences to his entire family and to the entire Dearborn Pioneer School family as well. Councilman Abraham.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. You know, as you called him, Coach Bridges, I think if you ran more than a mile in this community, you knew the coach.
That's right.
I had the good fortune of running against him when I was at Fortson. He's a Fortson grad, but he was coaching at Dearborn High, and we all used to always kid around because he would tell us if his talented athletes had the guts of the Fortson runners.
That's right.
They would have been state champs every year. So, that's
he knew
a
the
quote
tractor
from the
well.
coach, and you know, that goes back to the 80s, and all three of my kids had the good fortune of running under Coach Bridges when they wore the Pioneer orange. But like so many others that have passed before Coach Bridges, as we sit up here, you know, there's these standout citizens we have that are just tremendous pillars and ambassadors in our community. And it's a complete loss to the entire community, not just the Dearborn High, but anybody that crossed paths with Coach Bridges. He would always have good advice to hand off to them. And it's unfortunate that as we sit up here and have these sympathy resolutions that we lose so many of our strongest citizens to their passing. But he will definitely be missed in the athletic community and the community at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Abraham. Any unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 41, resolution by Council President Herrick. Family of Earl Trey Raymond Neubauer III and requesting immediate effect.
Earl Raymond Neubauer III, affectionately known as Trey, was born January 1st, 1971, and passed away unexpectedly on June 29, 2024, at the age of 53. Trey is survived by his mother, Sharon, brother, Whit, wife of 19 years, Sarah, and his 11-year-old son, Maxwell. A Dearborn resident for over 25 years, Trey's greatest love was being an amazing father to Maxwell. When Maxwell was younger, Trey volunteered as an assistant coach a few seasons with Dearborn baseball. Trey had an adventurous spirit. He was absolutely loved taking his dog Stewie on the Rouge trails and running and biking through Dearborn. He also enjoyed hiking, kayaking, climbing, and was an amazing gardener. He loved a good neighborhood perennial exchange. You can probably find many of Trey's plants in yards around town. Trey also was known as a dedicated and respected team member at DeMaria Building Company in Detroit, where he worked for nearly 30 years. A consummate professional, Trey worked as a project engineer, project manager, and most recently as a project superintendent. Trey's colleagues noted that his presence and contributions will be dearly missed. A celebration of Trey's life will be held in the spring of 2025. A loving and dedicated husband, father, son, friend, and colleague, Trey will be deeply missed by all who had the good fortune to know him. To all, we offer our most sincere condolences.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Nothing further from the clerk's office, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. From the council, I just got a couple things for open up to my colleagues. Just for the residents regarding, and then Chief, I might have you just chime in a little bit on this, but the trash pickup, we are completely aware of the problems we've been having. I know the mayor's been social media out front on it. But myself, along with my colleagues, did support a study session regarding this. So I want everybody to know September 28th at 6:30, we are having a study session at the council. My tenure on the council has seen more problems with trash than I think we could have seen in the past, and also double-digit increases. So I am looking at, which I've always believed in as a legislative aspect, is that a governmental service should remain a governmental function. That being said, folks, we are looking to get our estimates and costs and see what it would be to do the trash in-house with our own Dearborn employees. Right now, we have seen increases in costs that are north of $6 and $7 million a year. We also have seen service interruptions, service problems, you name it. In my almost 13, 14 years or so, I have seen several concerns. And I don't think that it's going to end when you have more and more companies going out of business and larger companies buying out. This is not something that cannot be done. We were very blessed in our research from our executive staff and our staff inside of the council office. We reached out to our neighboring city, Trenton, and the director of that department is who actually does this trash in-house in the city of Trenton, is coming to our meeting to discuss the pros and cons and give us some ideas. And I know our Department of Public Works, as well as the mayor, is all open to hearing. I know that our contract is good for another 5 or 6 years, but I can tell you folks that until the data is shown, I am very, very looking forward to looking at bringing this in-house. I really do believe, just like when I was on the council and they outsourced street sweeping, sold all the equipment, we brought it back. There's things that the city should do that are city people that do it better. And outsourcing is not the answer all the time. And with trash companies fleeing, and now we're down to one taking over 70 communities, it's causing a problem. And we want our people involved. So just to keep an open mind, anybody that would like to attend September 28th.
It's August 28th, isn't it?
August 28th. What's the date of that? Wednesday?
August Wednesday.
Next Wednesday? Yes, I'm sorry, August 28th at 6:30. We will be having a study session, and we'd like to thank the Trenton community for letting their department come in and give us some ideas as well. And we're going to look at the costs and go from there. But I wanted people to know It is not falling on deaf ears. Believe me, my mom texts me all the time. It's late. I'll tell you, folks, when I started this, my mom said people care about the police when they call them, the fire department, and then the garbage picked up. And that is absolutely true. So when the garbage is not being picked up and there's problems, it is top of mind. And I do appreciate the mayor being forward thinking. I do appreciate the mayor always holding the purse string, making sure that we get what we bargained for. But at the end of the day, I do think it's time to look forward to this. So I did call for the study session with support of Councilman Hammoud, and I believe all my council members are going to support looking into it, and we'll make the best decision for the taxpayers, no doubt. But it is something that we definitely are considering. So I wanted to make sure people knew that it's not falling on deaf ears. And Chief, I know that the mayor said that we're almost back on the regular schedule. Do you have anything? I know there was trucks going out for service, cameras, so on and so forth. Can you just give us a brief summary?
Absolutely, Council President, thank you so much. And I think that, one, I appreciate, and I thank the residents and this council for the grace of patience, because I think that this has been a very difficult process in this transition with the priority acquiring the contract from GFL. Unfortunately, we were in a position where our service routes were given to a company that had no familiarity with our routes. So the transition had its growing pains. But if you follow the mayor on Facebook and follow the city as well, if you don't, please do. There are periodical updates regarding what's happening. And to the council president's point, just to provide an additional update, was provided last week. The mayor met with the priority waste team, and I appreciate the council president's comment. You're absolutely right. The mayor holds those purse strings, and he makes sure that the city is never in a compromising position as it relates to, what the service that our residents expect in the city of Dearborn, and what the administration expects from our contractors. The meeting last week went as well as it could. There was an understanding that we will be fully provided full staffing on, I believe, the 17 trucks for garbage pickup. The process of, the current delay that we're seeing right now, once we get the trucks, they are going to be outfitted with cameras. Yes. The idea is the cameras will be utilized as an opportunity for us to hold, priority waste accountable for any missed pickups or any spills that are, our residents would inquire about. So there is that accountability piece with the cameras. I think we've touched base with our team today, and we said that the cameras are really nice, but as the council president mentioned, what matters most is that the trash gets picked up. And we are definitely continuing pushing that message, and hopefully we're moving towards a streamlined approach to how our garbage is being picked up with no interrupted services. It will take about a week to get over that hump, but I hope that at next week we'll be in a much better position. And I just want to thank again the residents for being patient. I know it's difficult. I think the mayor, if he was here, would tell you that he gets the calls from all of his cousins, his neighbors, and so do I, and I think everybody on this council. So you have your mother, council president, I have my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, and explaining this all.
I had somebody ask me for the mayor's address. They wanted to drop it off at his house.
They are definitely the best form of accountability for us as well, so.
Absolutely. We do appreciate it. We're all on the same side, folks, and we will definitely get to the bottom of it, and hopefully it does get better sooner. I know that my trash day was today, and it was picked up. I got home, it was gone. So, and my kid brought the cans in, but that's a bigger victory than the trash being picked up. Wow. Lastly, I have, before I open it to my colleagues, homecoming, Director Phillips. I'll tell you, and Erica Mara, yes, please come forward. What a tremendous job. I'll tell you, folks, I mean, I went, I know all my colleagues went, I think Councilman Abraham was there, a lot of people, I think all of us were there, but I can tell you, not only the fireworks, the entertainment, when I have my 20-year-old daughter asking me months before, can you please make sure I can get by the stage or in the area, can I get close? It's a great event that you've been putting on, and it's bringing a draw to Dearborn. Our police department, virtually no issues whatsoever. You know, I am kind of a little nerdy. I like the fact that you had those washing hand station, which I haven't seen before, which is phenomenal. Just pump, wash your hand, didn't have to run to the bathroom, wash my hands right by the food. Tremendous detail. I know it's crazy, but details matter, folks. And Ali, I can tell you, a tremendous job. And I know we're skeptical sometimes, right? My colleagues, they say, give me some money, I can't tell you who the person is, but give me the money, and I'll let you guys know. That's what we're faced with. But it wins every time. I know that I've talked to the mayor. I love fireworks, folks, but there's new drone things happening where we can use drones. I know we're looking at that. I know that we're getting closer on that. But the entertainment is a home run. And you know, a lot of people know Dearborn Homecoming, now that it's back to the Ford Field, and it's tremendous. The setup is just phenomenal. I mean, for someone like myself, you know, not going to the games as much, having the other side, seeing your classmates, people from all over come back to see their friends and family during homecoming. Tremendous job from all aspects. DPW, you know, our Recs department, of course, it's on their facilities, our police department in Alia. I'll tell you, it's really hard. Like they said, you know, when you set the bar, it's kind of like in sales. When I sell too many cars, I got to worry the next month because they're looking for it. So the problem is the bar keeps moving. But I just wanted to make sure you knew how tremendous of a job that you did do and your staff, and we do appreciate it.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Genuinely, all the credit goes to the staff that worked with us,
Of
all of our
course.
teams, our city departments. It would not have been possible without them. So thank you, and I'll let Erica know.
And I know for us on this financial side, you know, we're always looking for the numbers, but I heard it was a record amount of people
Yes.
turning in.
Yep.
Is that true?
Yes, it is.
All right.
We're estimating around, I think around 31,000 minimum right now, but we're waiting on some more numbers.
Yeah. It was a great event, and I really hope that everybody had a chance to come out and see it. And the only problem is you got to worry about next year now.
I know. It will beat it.
Already
Don't worry.
planning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's what I had for myself. I'd like to open to my colleagues. Councilwoman Herrick.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to do another shout out to the Recreation Department, actually. This weekend, our Dearborn Youth Theater had another phenomenal performance, directed by Rashid Beydoun. They did the ever-popular West Side Story, and the kids, he is just amazing at bringing out talent in young people, which their families probably didn't even know their kids had that much talent in them until they work with the cast and the crew of our youth theater program. The music, the singing and the dancing, kids who probably, some of them never have danced ever before, but just seeing, you know, rows of kids dancing and synchronous, and the music, just a shout out to another job well done for our youth theater program. And keep your eyes out for they've announced their next season productions already. So if you or family members are interested, go online and check it out, because it's definitely a wonderful program. If the kids aren't even interested in theater, initially they build great friendships and develop confidence, and it's a great time for anybody that goes to the shows to see them. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Enos.
Yeah, high school football starts this week, so I'd like to wish the best of luck to Dearborn High, Divine Child, the University of Fortson, and especially the Ethel Ford Thunderbirds.
All right.
Yeah.
The University of Thank you, Councilman. Yes, it is. It's right around the corner, folks. You get the Labor Day and pools shutting down and things closing up, and we're ready to go into the football and school season. So definitely a good time. Councilman Hammoud.
One thing I wanted to say, because we voted on the item, but I'm just so happy about the item, which one was it? 27, where on lot coverage and things like that. I think it's one of those things that we've been working on for 2 years, and I'm so happy that we actually got it done, because it's one of those things, again, it's like reasons you ran for office is the stupid gazebo rule. It's like Council President Sereni knows this one, but it's some of the things were just ridiculous in the city of Dearborn, and it took us 3 years to root it out. And we're gonna make so many people's lives, 2.5, fine. We're gonna make so many people's lives better. It was a lot of work from ECD and planning and the zoning commission and the planning commission and readings everywhere. You know, it's one of those things where you run for office and you think government is just so insurmountable when you find out about the long path to get there. But it's like, today we accomplished quietly, because I didn't want to say anything until after we voted. But now that we voted, I'm just so happy about it. I can't express it, because people are going to be able to actually use their properties for things other than cement pads. You'll be able to enjoy your summer outside and things like that.
Pick the window you want for your own house.
And if you want to put an oval window, you're allowed to put an oval window now. It's like back to where it was 40 years ago. So it's we're giving liberty back to the people in a lot of things, on things that don't actually harm your neighbor or anything like that. You know, we're very careful about water runoff still. So you know, it's like one of those things where I'm just quite happy that we all kind of got to a place, because we did spend many hours and had a lot of sessions on this, negotiating back and forth. But I think, again, it's like one of those examples of our administration, both council and the administration themselves, like working together to actually accomplish something that has an impact on the lives of everyday people, which I don't know, I guess that just can't be understated enough, how important that is, I think, to all of us. So thank you.
Absolutely. Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. You made mention about 40 years ago, that's when we last had our trash picked up in-house, 40-some years ago.
right.
So, I just wanted to make mention, and if Director Fletcher might want to comment on this. I know we had a study session the mayor's briefing this last week, and we brought up about Camp Dearborn and the master plan that we've been waiting to have unveiled, and I believe it's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock out at Mystic Creek, the conference room, that the unveiling of Camp Dearborn's master plan may take place. I don't know if it's similar to the presentation that we had, but for people that may or may not be aware of it, you might want to elaborate a little bit more, give people the opportunity to be there if they want.
Yep, good evening, Sean Fletcher, Parks and Recreation Director. Yes, it is tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. It's in the Mystic Creek Clubhouse. So we will have a little bit briefer presentation as compared to the PowerPoint we showed you. We don't want to delve into all the details. We're going to have 4 stations where people, if they really want to explore structures, or if they want to explore the open spaces or the beach plan, they can go to all the different stations, or they could go to just one station. We'll have the plan on the big foam core boards, and we'll have people at each station from Spicer and our team that can answer questions. So hopefully we'll get a good turnout. Not a lot of fanfare out there right now, but hopefully once it gets out, people will be excited.
Is there a possibility of having some sort of handout material for that at the Dearborn Administrative Center? There has been a number of people that have asked, where can I get a copy of this? I didn't know about it.
So we don't have the final report. We will have that probably within another month or so. Right now we have kind of the visuals that kind of show the thoughts behind the different concepts that they talked, like circulation, the beach plan, shade, playground, splash pad, that kind of stuff. So once we get the final report, we'll make sure there are copies here, copies at the center.
Is there any update about internet out of camp?
I'm going to defer to our IT director because I don't know the latest and greatest update on that. I know there is work continuing, and I've heard end of this month it should be buttoned up, but I don't know the specifics.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to add real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Fishing Derby is the 24th.
Oh, that's always a good time.
Yeah, so I think you guys know we've really tried to honor, some of the traditions at camp, and Steve Giebord, who you know, really knows and understands the history, knows, the stuff that people love. I mean, that guy knows a ton of people, talks to a ton of people. He has worked hard to get donations so that, it's kind of a low-cost event for us. But that is a big one. I was at camp about a month ago, passed by a gentleman, stopped, said hi. He's like, I caught a 5-pound fish out of the front pond. And I'm like, holy cow. So there are big fish in some of those lakes. So I think it's 9 to 3. Don't quote me on that, but this Saturday. So we're bringing that back. And people are already very excited about it, and hot dogs and chips and all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's a great time. I took my kids there before, so Mr. Giebord is doing a great job, and all your staff is, so.
Thank you.
The commitment to Camp Dearborn is alive and well. I know a lot of people were concerned about that in the past. I think it's very clear that the future of Camp Dearborn is very bright, and reinvestment is coming, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Councilman Pierce. Councilman Hamud, you had last thing?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention, because I was so excited. There's one more thing. Our Master Plan Commission really wants everybody to go take the survey online.
Yes.
What's the website, guys? PlanDearborn.org. I guess
They'll put
.com
it
is
on the bottom,
thing.
plandearborn.org.
Yeah, so give us your thoughts, comments, concerns, and by that I mean say you want walkability. Thank you.
All right. Anything from the Chief of Staff Administration?
Of course.
All
I
right.
got a whole list because it's not too late. No, I'm just kidding. Just a couple of things. You all do a really good job at thanking the team and identifying the events. So by the time it gets to me, I only have a few. But to Councilman Hamud's point, the excitement around the lot coverage, what I do want to recognize is I want to recognize our planning manager, Kaylee, who's in the audience today, our deputy corporation counsel, Brad Mendelson, who spent 2.5 years with all of you and the mayor trying to get this right. And the final product of all of that was what was passed today. So I want to provide just that highlight because I think the team does such a good job at working with the council, working with the administration, and finding that happy median for us to ensure that we're getting across the finish line. So I wanted to add that, and to the council president's comment about homecoming. As you could tell, Alia doesn't like to take positive feedback all the time because she just doesn't like taking credit. But I definitely want to double down her team, and everyone that she mentioned, whether it's the finance team, the Parks and Recreation team, for the public safety team. They all contributed and came together to ensure that we had a successful homecoming. So I can't stress enough what a great job the mayor did to really assemble a phenomenal team, and it really has trickled down. And a lot of the positive things that we see is because of the hard work that this team puts out there day in, day out. So I wanted to kind of double down on the fact that a lot of the successes that we like to identify, and they are successes, just want to definitely thank the hard work of the team that really does put the energy and the positive energy and the love behind getting things done. So just wanted to mention that. Also, I can't tell you how appreciative we are to Councilman Abraham being the dean of the Fortson Alumni Club here on the council, and
Right.
we are definitely looking forward to Fortson beating Dearborn High in football this year, and also looking forward to the council president. Looking forward to the council president and the mayor's bet this year. We'll see what
true.
that looks like. So. Just wanted to mention how excited we are as well for football. So go Fortson.
Chicken wing eating contest. Fortunately, we didn't have very good judges. That was the issue. They said I didn't take enough. They didn't take enough off the bone, even though I finished them all. So the mayor won. But the bottom line is I actually played Fortson football in class of 1990, 1989. Coach Justice is, God rest him's last season as the head coach of Fortson High School, where we went 9-0 into the playoffs. And unfortunately, we're outseeded in the playoff game. But all of my children, the joke is they say a saying, a Fortson grad and Dearborn dad. And all three of my Dearborn kids, all five of my kids, but all three of them played for Dearborn High School football. But they're all graduated now. So I'm going to go back and get my Fortson jersey out of the closet and sit on the other side now. They used to call me and say, donate to Fortson High School and football. And I said, I can't when I'm sitting on the other side with my kids. But now I can. So, but I wish them the both a great sport and a great time, great community. You can't get these back, folks. It goes by so quick. It was like yesterday. Now they're all adults, so it goes by really quick. So looking forward to the fall time. Mr. Clerk, anything from yourself? Your department?
Yes, piggybacking on success, we had a successful primary just 2 weeks ago. Roughly 14,000 people voted. I want to thank my new deputy and my new election supervisor for not having a whole lot of time to put this election together, but they did a tremendous job and things went pretty much as smooth as you could possibly expect it. In November, we're expecting much larger numbers, closer to 50,000. people will be voting in Dearborn in November. It'll probably be our largest election ever. So we're ramping up to that already. And in the mail, believe it or not, in about 30 days, the people that have mail-in ballots will be receiving those in just about 30 days. So
Wow, that's quick.
we're getting close.
And then, Mr. Clerk, I know you had commented at the count, how many people didn't vote in the primary?
Yeah, we had 14,000 that voted and 61,000 that did not vote. So we'll definitely do a much better job than that in November.
Right. Well, hopefully November, you're right, it will be a very large turnout, and then we'll see what happens.
Yes,
Again,
thank you.
always exercise your right to vote, but thank you. Anything else from your department? Nothing else, Clerk?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. At this point, we are in our final public comment session. Anybody here to address the council regarding city business, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Keep in mind, you have a 3-minute limitation. The clerk will give you a 30-second warning towards that.
Taylor Morey, 3804 Alice Street. Last comment, I promise. I'm very tired. I want to go home. So I have a question. So the sidewalks on like Michigan Avenue, I know Michigan Avenue is a state road. The question is, who's in charge of maintaining the sidewalks? We currently have weeds and trees that are growing over the sidewalk. And so the question is should I complain to y'all or the state?
No, I mean, it's in our jurisdiction, even though it's a state road. If you could, we could get the address for your economic development. Even though it's a state road, we have Wayne County, we have our West DDA and East DDAs, and even when they're not covered, we are still responsible and we do maintain it. For example, there was a situation we have in East Dearborn from Schaefer to Wyoming where I contacted our state rep regarding tree trimming. That's something that falls under their scope, but maintenance and general maintenance and cleaning, and we have a weed contract for weed prevention, so we'll have our director. If you give them a specific address, it definitely helps.
Okay.
If it's all of Michigan Avenue, that's not gonna work. You'll give us a spot and we'll definitely get to it and see what's going on, but we do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, any other, anyone here? Yep. Address the council, step forward.
Betty Adams, Library Director. I'm just giving you guys an update about summer reading. We had our numbers come in. We had over 1,000 families participate in summer reading this year, so thank you for everyone who did participate in any capacity. And then we had logged over 13,000 days of reading by those family members. So again, it's a wonderful thing to report to you all, and we really appreciate everyone's support of the library and the summer reading program.
That's excellent.
Going into the school year, we wish everyone the best success, and we are a resource available to you all.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Director Adams, one question for me, for you about me.
Correct. I got you.
Okay, audio reading, does that count as audio reading? No?
It does.
'Cause I'm knocking
On
them
the
out.
books, it does. I can contest it from the psychological standpoint, but at the same token, it does count as reading.
I just wanna make sure.
Auditory engagement with literacy is reading, so yeah.
All right,
It's like an electrical bike, an
All
electrical
right,
bike.
I love the
Council President.
audiobooks. The audiobooks are tremendous.
Like
but-
watching my weights, am I that working
Yeah,
out?
when you're walking, and it's great stuff, but not a podcast, it's still a book. It does say finish when you're at the end. All right. All right. Any other questions or comments for the council from the audience? All right. At that time, we will close our public comment, and we have a motion to adjourn. Motion adjourned by Councilman Al Swafi. We are adjourned.